Chapter 18. Myriad Poison Mystic Skill, 7,000-year lifespan. After the cave entrance was completely closed, Guwen continued to walk along the cave passage. With the divine sense of the seventh layer in the Foundation Establishment realm, Guwen walked as if it were broad daylight, without any obstacles, and the further he went, the wider the passage became, seemingly endless. Guwen became even more curious about Qing Xuanden's master. Just what kind of extraordinary person could construct such a vast underground passage? The passage twisted downward, and after traveling for dozens of miles, Guwen still hadn't reached the end. He was now certain that the place beneath the stone slab was connected to this underground passage. A gust of spirit wind blew from the front of the passage, hitting Gu in his face, making him feel refreshed. Light began to appear in the passage ahead, and he saw that the walls were embedded with crystals of various colors. Guwen carefully sensed them and found they were not spirit stones, which disappointed him greatly. If they had all been spirit stones, he would have struck it rich. Thinking this, Guwen continued forward. He remained highly alert the entire time. Although Qing Xiandan had always treated him well in the end, he dared not let his guard down, remembering Qing Xuanden's tricks with Meng Lang. What if Qing Xiandan was acting? After walking several more miles, Guwen saw that the passage ahead became very bright, and he heard the sound of water. He had reached the cave entrance. Guwen cautiously made his way over. As he arrived at the entrance and looked into the underground space ahead, his eyes widened. "I really hit the jackpot," Guwen murmured to himself, his eyes showing a look of astonishment. Following his gaze, he saw a vast underground space ahead, several times larger than Mystic Valley, over 100 square meters from the ground to the ceiling. A giant tree, more than 100 meters high, stood in the middle. The trunk needed more than a dozen people to embrace, and though its branches and leaves were not many, it bore lantern-like fruits that were crystal clear and emitted a blue glow. Below the tree was a lush meadow, with a 2-meter-wide underground river flowing beside it, just at the edge of the underground space, near the mountain wall. Green Vine Tree, 7th Order 245/9999/87600, 87,000 years of maximum lifespan. Nearly 10,000 years of current lifespan. Seeing this information, Guwen felt an impulse to uproot the tree, but he restrained himself. According to Qing Xiandan, this 7th Order spirit tree was the key to the underground formation. It managed the entire formation, allowing other rare herbs and treasures to grow freely. The spiritual energy gathered from these treasures would then activate the formation, replenishing the 7th Order spirit tree. Uprooting the green vine tree would mean losing a highly potent plantation field. Furthermore, this place could serve as his cave. The formation set up by Qing Xuanden's master was extremely diverse, and cultivating and breaking through here would not draw attention. Guwen glanced around and saw that the cave walls in every direction were embedded with unique stone statues, dozens of them, with special runes in between, mysterious and profound. He stepped out of the cave entrance and immediately noticed a stele standing nearby, with 4 words engraved on it, 8 Scenic Caves. After a glance, Guwen continued walking into the cave. The entire way, he frantically used lifespan detection. Everywhere he looked, there were 3rd and 4th Order spirit grass and spirit flowers. The closer he got to the green vine tree, the higher the rank of the herbs, dazzling his eyes. With such a large treasury hidden away, Qing Xiandan still couldn't establish his foundation? Guwen didn't know whether to feel sorry for Qing Xuanden's poor aptitude or for his insufficient alchemy skills. Even if his alchemy skills were lacking, he could sell some herbs to get spirit stones or ask the alchemists of the Supreme Sect for help. In Guwen's view, in a sect like the Supreme Sect, it shouldn't be difficult to create a Foundation Establishment realm cultivator with enough resources. Of course, there was another possibility. Qing Xiandan was afraid of revealing his identity. Guwen walked to the green vine tree and stood beneath it, feeling the majestic and vibrant aura of the tree. He circled the green vine tree and noticed that the 8 Scenic Caves had not just one entrance but 8. He suspected that one of these entrances connected to the stone slab he had previously discovered. For the time being, he had no intention of exploring the other entrances. He turned around and took out the 100 herbs collection from his storage bag, starting to compare it herb by herb. If any were mature, he would harvest them directly. The harvested herbs could be taken to the outer sect to exchange for more high-rank seeds, ensuring continuous development. The thought excited Guan. An hour flew by, and Guan had already harvested over 133rd order medicinal herbs, crazily collecting more than 900 years of lifespan, pushing his total to over 5,000 years. This demonic cultivator identity was worth it. Guan felt exhilarated. There were so many medicinal herbs in the 8 scenic caves, and he had only harvested 1/10 of them, and those were the lowest grade herbs. From now on, this would be his cave, his secret base. Just as Guan was about to bend down to pick another herb, he suddenly heard a noise. He immediately turned around, his gaze fixed on a distant entrance. The entrance was pitch black, looking eerie and terrifying. Guan moved to the side. Not all the grass on the ground was medicinal herbs, there were also ordinary weeds. He suspected a battle was about to occur, so he needed to move to avoid damaging his herbs. Those were his life. Guan walked toward the underground river, his eyes continuously fixed on the entrance. Soon, footsteps and heavy breathing emanated from the entrance, as if a wild beast were about to charge out. A foot stepped out of the darkness. When Guan fully saw the newcomer's true appearance, he frowned. It was Meng Lang. At this moment, Meng Lang looked disheveled, his clothes tattered, his feet bare, and his neck covered with blood veins. His face was red, as if scalded, his eyes filled with blood, and he exhaled white breaths. Roar! Meng Lang roared at Guan and lunged at him. His speed was extremely fast, closing the distance between him and Guan. Guan advanced instead of retreating, stepping forward to meet him. The distance between them rapidly shortened, and grass clippings flew everywhere along the way. Meng Lang leapt, trying to pounce on Guan. Guan sidestepped, ramming his knee into Meng Lang's abdomen, sending him flying back. Guan frowned even more tightly. His right leg felt slightly numb. Goodness! How did Meng Lang become so tough? Guan felt that even the demon of greed wasn't as tough. Although he hadn't used his full strength or any spiritual power, he could make a rough judgment. He had held back to see if Meng Lang could still be saved. He shook his right leg and charged at Meng Lang again. Meng Lang fell onto the grass, seemingly unaware of pain, immediately getting up to pounce on Guan again. Guan planted his right foot, forcing his body to stop abruptly. His left leg followed, and spiritual power flowed into it as he performed the Gale Shadowless leg. Gusts of wind rose from the ground, and leg shadows continuously landed on Meng Lang, sending him flying once more. After landing, he rolled for 12 meters before coming to a stop. His limbs showed obvious signs of distortion. He tried to get up, but the next second he fell again, his forehead hitting the grass heavily. Guan withdrew his leg, a curious look appearing on his face. Could the effects of Cheng Xuanden's poison skill be this powerful? Meng Lang had only reached the first order but had such a formidable physique, comparable to the demon of greed. How could Cheng Xuanden possibly compare to the great cultivator behind the demon of greed? Guan grew more certain that Cheng Xuanden had hidden some things, likely related to his master. He walked up to Meng Lang and looked down at his demonic, monstrous body, hesitating on how to deal with him. He's already dead, so why should I care about his identity in life? Guan's eyes flickered as grass clippings and dust around his feet began to slowly swirl, indicating that he was cultivating energy. At that moment, Guan saw the corner of a book poking out from Meng Lang's chest. He immediately reached out, using spiritual power to pull it through the air, the book flying into his hand swiftly. Myriad Poison Mystic Skill, Guan read softly, flipping through it quickly. It was a cultivation technique, but it was incomplete, with the last page showing a clear content break. Apart from the initial technique of Immortal cultivation, it also recorded 5 kinds of poison skills, each with illustrations. After comparing, he finally found the poison technique afflicting Meng Lang. Flame Corpse Poison. The one afflicted, nourished by flame energy, with a body as tough as deep rock and immense strength. No cure, no way to dissolve it, till the body shatters into pieces. After finishing reading, Guwen couldn't help but look at Meng Lang, his eyes showing sympathy. How pitiful! The Myriad poison mystic skill recorded a method to restrain the flame corpse poison. Just cover the 7 orifices of the afflicted, preventing the poison worm from consuming spiritual energy, making the poison worm fall into a false death state, unable to act. He immediately used soil to seal Meng Lang's 7 orifices, then stood up and looked at the cave entrance from which Meng Lang had come. He didn't explore it immediately. Instead, he put the Myriad poison mystic skill into his storage bag and turned around to continue harvesting herbs. Even if Cheng Xuandan's master was still alive, since the other didn't act against him, a Qi cultivation realm cultivator, they either had no killing intent or couldn't move. In that case, why alert the enemy? The longer time passed, the more advantageous it was for Guwen. After an hour, satisfied, Guwen left the 8 scenic caves. His lifespan had reached an astonishing 7,000 years. He had harvested all the 3rd-order medicinal herbs he could. Next, he would plant new seeds. When the new seeds matured, many years would have passed again. After the 3rd-order herbs, it would be time to harvest the 4th-order ones. To prevent the ecological damage of the formation, Guwen didn't harvest all the mature medicinal herbs at once. He collected some and planted some, ensuring continuous and effective sustainable development. Moreover, medicinal herbs, even if mature, could be left to grow. The longer they lived, the more lifespan he could take from them. Naturally, there was a critical point among this, and Guwen was still observing it. Early the next morning, the new master of Mystic Valley, Guwen, stepped out of his room and immediately urged his junior brothers to come out. After hearing Xiaochuan's response, he walked toward Yilan's courtyard. "Junior sister, time to come out," Guwen called. "Okay, senior brother." Yilan responded quickly, more active than the junior brothers. Soon, everyone stood before Guwen. Guwen glanced at them and smiled. "Congratulations, you are going to be uncles. I will recruit new servant disciples who will be my disciples and your nephews." At these words, everyone became excited, talking about the future. No one mentioned Cheng Xiandan. It was not because they were heartless, but because they had agreed privately not to mention Cheng Xiandan for the next month. Guwen offered some encouragement, then began to lead his junior brothers and sisters in morning exercises to stretch their muscles. Afterward, he would go to the 8 scenic caves to plant flowers and herbs. Life was about to get busy. Chapter 19 Lifespan Barrier, Breaking Through to the Core Formation Realm. In the 8 scenic caves, the glow of the green vine tree's fruit reflected off the cave walls, and the shimmering light of the underground river was also mirrored on the walls, creating a tranquil and beautiful grotto heaven. Guwen walked to the green vine tree, turned around, placed his hands on his hips, and looked at the area he had planted, a satisfied smile appearing on his face. One reaps what one sows. Immortal cultivation and farming were the romance he pursued. All the fighting and scheming should stay far away from him. Guwen felt self-satisfied as his gaze shifted. He wanted to build a pavilion in the 8 scenic caves so he could occasionally hide here to rest. He was still young now, but in 50 or 60 years, he could learn from Cheng Xiandan, making the first disciple manage everything while he enjoyed life. However, it was still early for his first disciple. After all, Medicine Valley was his foundation. He had to find the right person. It wasn't just about being the first to become his disciple and handling all matters. Many plans emerged in Guwen's mind. First, he needed to nurture a deputy valley master. Xiaochuan was worth considering, low aptitude but honest, though too blunt in speech and demeanor. Lu Jiujia would eventually go to the outer sect, so he was excluded directly. No, better to send her away early to avoid ruining his Taoist heart. As for Wuxin, let's see. Still need to recruit more disciples. Guwen thought as he looked up. He was very curious about the green vine tree's fruit. Some natural treasures were fruit-shaped, but picking the green vine tree's fruit individually, would it extend his lifespan? He decided to act on his thoughts. With a leap, Guwen raised his hand to grab a fruit and pulled it down. He landed on the grass and then appraised the fruit in his hand, which was as large as a pumpkin. He estimated it weighed 7 or 8 pounds. Guwen took out a piece of spirit protection paper from his storage bag and wrapped it around the long stem at the top of the fruit to prevent spiritual energy leakage and nutrient loss. These were valuable. After about 10 breaths, a line of text appeared before his eyes. You have successfully extracted 85 years of life from the green vine fruit, 6th tier. Wonderful. 85 years of life. Guwen's eyes changed as he looked at the green vine tree. This was a money tree. Absolutely must not uproot it. It must be nurtured well and revered in the future. Guwen became excited. He tossed the green vine fruit into his storage bag and counted the fruits on the tree. There were 16 fruits as large as the one he had just picked. The smaller ones couldn't be touched. He began to take action immediately. Some of the green vine fruits were very high up, requiring him to climb the tree. At that moment, he craved the sword control technique immensely. Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators couldn't fly in the sky directly, and he had no other flying or levitation means. After a long struggle, Guwen finally managed to pick all 16 green vine fruits, gaining a total of 1,360 years of life. His total lifespan reached 8,400 years, getting closer and closer to the 10,000-year mark. Enough. All in one go. After reaching 10,000 years, he could improve his cultivation, explore the other 7 cave entrances. Once everything was clear, eliminate all potential dangers, then enjoy peace and tranquility. With a plan in mind, Guwen began to implement it. The 8 scenic caves were abundant with medicinal herbs. He focused on his attribute panel while picking, stopping once he accumulated 10,000 years of life. An hour later, a prompt appeared before Guwen's eyes. Your lifespan has surpassed 10,000 years for the first time, unlocking the lifespan barrier function. Lifespan barrier consumes lifespan to activate a barrier that shields from all prying, perception, and deduction. The consumed lifespan corresponds to your cultivation level and the required spiritual energy. Lifespan barrier? Seeing the words consumes lifespan, Guwen frowned. Wasn't this taking his life? But after reading the explanation, he was thrilled. Breaking through the Foundation Establishment Realm had already caused a big commotion. What if he broke through to higher realms? Over time, the Supreme Sect would be alarmed. Guwen had worried about this. Now, he wasn't afraid. This function was too useful. I like it. Guwen laughed as he walked toward the cave entrance. After breaking through to the core formation realm, he would explore the other cave entrances. Although the 8 scenic caves had formations, potential dangers might still exist within the caves, so he decided to break through outside, just to test the lifespan barrier. No matter what was hidden, he wasn't scared. Returning to Medicine Valley, it was already late at night. He had moved to the pavilion where Cheng Xiandan had lived. It still housed numerous secret books, elixir records, and rare books. He would read them all eventually. After entering the room, Guwen approached a wooden cabinet. This cabinet was made from special wood that could retain the spiritual energy of natural treasures as much as possible, which Cheng Xiandan had mentioned before. There were several such cabinets. He placed all the green vine fruits into the cabinet. Suddenly, he thought of something, took out one green vine fruit, and placed it on the table. Sitting at the table, he pulled out the Thousand Autumn Pavilion's secret history from his pocket and began to read quietly. It was well past midnight when the white spirit rat finally returned. It ran up to Guwen's shoulder, its tiny eyes staring intently at the green vine fruit on the table. Guwen gently picked it up and set it on the table, then waited. The white spirit rat approached the green vine fruit, sniffed, then began to nibble gently. Unclear about the green vine fruit's effects, as the 100 Herbs collection didn't document treasures above the 5th tier, Guwen had to test it with the white spirit rat. He let the white spirit rat choose. It was a spirit beast. If the fruit were poisonous, it should be able to smell it. If it couldn't, Guwen would bury it properly. The green vine fruit was 10 times the size of the white spirit rat, making it difficult for the rat to nibble. Guwen didn't assist it. Finding waiting boring, he decided to break through that night. Guwen stood up and left the pavilion stealthily, leaving Mystic Valley and heading west, crossing mountains and valleys, traveling nearly 20 miles. He first jumped onto the top of a tall tree, observing in all directions to confirm no cultivators were around. Then he sat on a grassy patch between the mountains to meditate. Having not advanced his lifespan for a while, he was quite eager. With the lifespan barrier, he could cultivate without worries this time. Let's try 1,000 years first. Guwen thought lavishly, sitting on 10,000 years of life. What was 1,000 years at once? A mere drop in the bucket. He directed 1,000 years of lifespan towards his cultivation level to cultivate and advance. You cultivated energy absorption for 30 years, breaking through to Foundation Establishment Realm 8th layer. You cultivated energy absorption for 100 years, breaking through to Foundation Establishment Realm 9th layer. You cultivated energy absorption for 150 years, forcing your way to the core formation realm with the great accomplishment in the Divine Wood Pure Yang skill, beginning tribulation crossing, but you failed to endure the minor heavenly tribulation, and the crossing failed. You cultivated energy absorption for 200 years, forcing your way to the core formation realm with the great accomplishment in the Divine Wood Pure Yang skill, beginning tribulation crossing, but you failed to endure the minor heavenly tribulation, and the crossing failed. You cultivated energy absorption for 450 years, forcing your way to the core formation realm with the great accomplishment in the Divine Wood Pure Yang skill, beginning tribulation crossing. You successfully endured the minor heavenly tribulation and formed a golden core, stepping into the core formation realm. You cultivated energy absorption for 500 years, breaking through to core formation realm 2nd layer. You cultivated energy absorption for 600 years, breaking through to core formation realm 3rd layer. You cultivated energy absorption for 720 years, breaking through to core formation realm 4th layer. You cultivated energy absorption for 850 years, breaking through to core formation realm 5th layer. You cultivated energy absorption for 1,000 years, breaking through to core formation realm 6th layer. Line after line of prompts crazily popped up before Guwen's eyes. Seeing the 6 consecutive failed tribulation crossings made Guwen almost choke. How could it be this difficult? Was tribulation crossing that hard? With the last prompt falling, Guwen's body autonomously began cultivating energy, instantly feeling the spiritual energy of nature becoming volatile. He hastily activated the lifespan barrier. Activating lifespan barrier, lifespan consumed, 0 years. This prompt hovered before his eyes. As nature's spiritual energy flowed into him, the 0 changed directly to 1. Hope the consumption isn't too high, Guwen silently prayed. As the vast spiritual energy fervently surged into his body, he felt entirely unblocked, an indescribable pleasurable sensation. This time, he didn't move during the breakthrough, so he didn't feel the pain. Centered around him, the ground formed ripples of air, converging from all directions into his body. Vaguely visible was a translucent barrier, about 5 yards in diameter. Guwen looked outside the barrier. There were no wind waves outside. The flowers, grasses, and trees were very calm, apparently not affected by him. He immediately became curious. Why was there no impact? Soon he understood. With the barrier activated, he absorbed spiritual energy from the ground during cultivation. Now he was completely reassured. It didn't take long for his cultivation level to reach Foundation Establishment Realm 9th layer, and the barrier's lifespan consumption grew to 5 years, making him a bit distressed. This thing was too expensive. It reminded him of some mobile game experiences from his previous life. One word, dark. While Guwen internally complained, he suddenly noticed a bright light in the distant mountain forest. Narrowing his eyes, he vaguely saw a scene of cultivators battling. 10 miles away. Above the mountain forest, Jiang swung his sword, unleashing waves of sword qi like fierce winds sweeping through the forest, scattering leaves. Liye, dressed in black, stood atop a tree, raising his sword to block. A powerful energy burst from his body, forming a faint golden bell shadow that resisted all of Yang's sword qi. Yang's black hair flew wildly in the wind, a sinister and arrogant smile on his face as he laughed loudly. Liye, is this all you got? You want to fight the 4th prince? Can you even live to enter the inner sect? Liye's face was stern, glancing toward Mystic Valley. Not good. If this continued, it would alarm people in Medicine Valley. Liye didn't want to trouble Guan and others, so he immediately pushed his sword, dispersing the sword chi, then flew in the direction opposite to Mystic Valley. Yang chased closely, and the two rode their swords, quickly disappearing into the night sky. Guan, within the lifespan barrier, couldn't clearly see the battling cultivators in the distance, but luckily those lights disappeared. He didn't dare relax. The lifespan barrier could shield prying, perception, and deduction, but it didn't become entirely invisible. What if someone stumbled in by chance? Time passed quickly in Guan's anxious state. He began to form the golden core within his body. As the barrier consumed over 50 years of lifespan, he successfully formed the golden core. Although the barrier consumed a lot, it was within Guan's acceptable range. Before starting, he worried this thing might be too much, draining him dry at once. Now his worries were gone. Another thought emerged. 1,000 years to reach core formation realm's 6th layer. Should he continue? Chapter 20. Spirit Root Transformation, Nascent Soul Realm Cultivator. The night sky was silent, occasionally filled with the cries of birds, and the mountain forest lay quietly in the darkness. Guan meditated within the lifespan barrier, appreciating the moonlight. Tonight's moon was so beautiful, just like his mood. His cultivation level had already reached the 4th layer of the core formation realm, and he was getting closer to the end. He planned to continue investing until he broke through to the Nascent Soul Realm, and then acquire an ultimate skill, as the Gale Shadowless leg could no longer satisfy him. What kind of great cultivator in the Nascent Soul Realm uses leg techniques? He needed a sword. Guan decided to favor the 7 swords of the Li family. With the cultivation level of the Nascent Soul Realm, he also needed attacking techniques of the Nascent Soul Realm. Yes, let's assume that Cheng Xuandan's master was a great cultivator in the Nascent Soul Realm. Guan had to overestimate his opponent as much as possible to reduce the chances of defeat. After the cultivator he previously fought with left and did not return, Guan's heart was completely at ease. He was already a core formation realm cultivator, and in the outer sect he could walk unchallenged. Even if someone suddenly broke in, they wouldn't withstand a single kick from him. 5th layer of the core formation realm. His cultivation level increased again, and Guan's divine sense also became stronger along with it. The core formation realm was completely different from the foundation establishment realm. They were worlds apart. The spiritual power was vastly different, and the divine sense disparity was also immense. Now, Guan's divine sense could converge into a powerful impact. Reaching the core formation realm made him feel like a true cultivator. If the core formation realm was like this, how powerful would the Nascent Soul Realm be? Guan could not wait to invest his lifespan. He had to wait patiently. After his cultivation level broke through to the 6th layer of the core formation realm, he then brought up his attribute panel. His gaze was involuntarily drawn to the spirit roots. He once tried to enhance his spirit roots, but the results were negligible. This caused a psychological shadow, fearing it was a bottomless pit. Thus, he redirected his lifespan elsewhere, and deducing cultivation techniques could also improve spirit root qualifications. Now that he was strong enough and his lifespan was abundant, it was time to retry enhancing his spirit roots. After some time, when his cultivation level stopped increasing, Guan directly invested 2,000 years of lifespan into his spirit roots. You have invested 2,000 years of lifespan into evolving and cultivating your spirit roots. You comprehend the essence of heaven and earth for 100 years, and your perception power of the 5-element spirit root increases. You comprehend the essence of heaven and earth for 200 years, and your perception power of the 5-element spirit root increases. You comprehend the essence of heaven and earth for 1,000 years, finally capturing a trace of the heaven and earth true meaning. Your spirit roots are cleansed by heaven and earth, and the qualifications of your 5-element spirit root start to transform, with the wood spirit root being the most prominent. You comprehend the essence of heaven and earth for 1,200 years, and your perception power of the 5-element spirit root increases. You comprehend the essence of heaven and earth for 2,000 years, finally capturing a trace of the heaven and earth true meaning. At the same time, you understand the earth's river veins. Your spirit roots are cleansed by heaven and earth, and the qualifications of your 5-element spirit root start to transform. The qualifications of your 5-element spirit root all transform into top-tier mortal qualifications, with the wood spirit root and earth spirit root being the most prominent. One line after another of prompts appeared before Guin. Seeing the earlier prompts about the 5 elements, his heart started to bleed. He was careless. As expected, this thing was a bottomless pit. Seeing the final prompt, where all 5 elements spirit root reached top-tier qualification, improved his mood, yet he still felt heartache. After all, previously understanding the divine wood pure yang skill had already elevated his wood spirit root to top-tier qualification. He could not think like this. He ought to consider that the divine wood pure yang skill took 1,000 years to elevate one spirit root to top-tier qualification. To elevate all 5 spirit roots to top-tier qualification, it would have taken at least 5,000 years. So the question was, why did he not cultivate techniques of the other 4 elements? One had to try to walk the most perfect path. As Guin reflected on himself, the earth's spirit energy surged again. This time it was not to enhance his cultivation level, but to temper his muscles and bones. Guin felt an unprecedented pain, forcing him to grit his teeth and endure. To divert his attention, he began to think about the attribute panel. It seemed spirit root qualifications were the hardest to improve, which made sense. Spirit root qualifications were akin to the limit of one's lifespan, while cultivation level was the current lifespan. Breaking the limit was the hardest. Efforts made postnatally would never be as difficult as breaking through the predetermined fate. This was why the Supreme Sect treated geniuses with such reverence. Dual spirit roots like Ji Xiaoyu were far more important to the Supreme Sect than a single core formation realm cultivator. For ordinary people, the fewer spirit roots they had, the higher the qualification. If one's total talent value was 100, dual spirit roots could each have 50, but if it was 5-element spirit root, each root's talent value would only be 20, and being well-rounded sometimes meant being average. Guin's situation was now different. By improving his spirit root qualifications, he was effectively raising his talent value from 100 upward. Unfortunately, spirit root attributes could not be individually invested to enhance cultivation. Now, the other spirit roots were not very helpful for his cultivation of divine wood pure yang skill. Thus, his cultivation speed increased somewhat, but not significantly. However, he noticed the prefix mortal before top-tier qualifications in the prompts. Could there be holy body and spirit body as well? Lost in these thoughts, Guin noticed the consumption speed of the lifespan barrier starting to slow. From the moment he began his breakthrough until now, he had already consumed 134 years of lifespan. As his spirit root qualifications continued to improve, Guin felt the myriad of spiritual energies grow clearer, altering his perception of the entire world. The pain was being replaced by a sense of wonder. Some time passed. Guin's body stopped absorbing spiritual energy. The 5-element spirit root in his attribute panel changed to top-tier 5-element spirit root. Instead of getting up, he invested 2,000 years of lifespan into his cultivation. The shadow of a failed tribulation weighed on him, so he decided to go all out. If he invested 1,000 years into his cultivation and got stuck at the 9th layer of the core formation realm, he would surely be vomiting blood. This was a real possibility. After failing a tribulation, it would take 50 years to attempt again. In reality, failing a tribulation meant either death or severe injury, and recovering from injuries definitely took time. Moreover, the heavenly tribulation for the Nascent Soul Realm must be even harder. The number of failures would likely be numerous. Begin. You practiced Qi absorption for 100 years, and your cultivation broke through to the 7th layer of the core formation realm. You practiced Qi absorption for 200 years, and your cultivation broke through to the 8th layer of the core formation realm. You practiced Qi absorption for 300 years, and your cultivation broke through to the 9th layer of the core formation realm. You practiced Qi absorption for 400 years, and with great mastery of the divine wood pure yang skill, you forcefully impacted the Nascent Soul Realm and began your tribulation. You did not survive the 3 profound heavenly tribulations and failed the tribulation. You practiced Qi absorption for 1500 years, and with great mastery of the divine with pure Yang skill, you forcefully impacted the Nascent Soul Realm and began your tribulation. You did not survive the 3 profound heavenly tribulations and failed the tribulation. You practiced Qi absorption for 1600 years, and with great mastery of the divine with pure Yang skill, you forcefully impacted the Nascent Soul Realm and began your tribulation. You finally survived the 3 profound heavenly tribulations, succeeded in your tribulation, and were promoted to the Nascent Soul Realm. You practiced Qi absorption for 1800 years, and your cultivation broke through to the 2nd layer of the Nascent Soul Realm. You practiced Qi absorption for 2000 years, and your cultivation broke through to the 3rd layer of the Nascent Soul Realm. Damn. Failed 12 times. When Guan saw that he had failed the tribulation 6 times, his heart sank. By the time he failed 10 times, he was seeing blackness in front of his eyes. Luckily, he finally succeeded in breaking through to the Nascent Soul Realm. Was the Nascent Soul Realm truly so difficult to break through? Guan thought, collapsing mentally. He realized why the lifespan consumed by evolutionary cultivation was larger than the actual consumption. Evolutionary cultivation was equivalent to naked cultivation. Normal cultivation would involve taking elixirs and using formations to gather spiritual energy, which could help with tribulations. Not to mention the mystical effects of rare treasures. Once again, the spiritual energy in the world surged madly, and the consumption rate of the lifespan barrier increased. Guan calmed his heart and began to enjoy the enhancement of his cultivation. The rising sun shone over the mortal world, and Mystic Valley gradually brightened. Guan stood atop the mountain, overlooking the autumnal forest. His robe fluttered, and the sunlight bathed him, as if he could ascend to become immortal at any moment. He had already condensed the nascent soul, becoming a true Nascent Soul Realm cultivator. To reward himself, he elevated his surface cultivation level by 1 layer, reaching the 4th layer of the energy cultivation realm. In the future, he would raise it by 1 layer each year, stopping at the 9th layer of the energy cultivation realm, so he would not be summoned away. Unable to resist, he brought up his attribute panel to check again. Name, Guan, Lifespan, 22/4502, Spirit Root, Top Tier 5 Element Spirit Root, Wood and Earth Attributes more prominent. Can invest Lifespan for evolutionary cultivation. Cultivation, 3rd layer of the Nascent Soul Realm, can invest Lifespan for evolutionary cultivation. Techniques, Fire Control Art, Unlearned, Divine Wood Pure Yang Skill, Mastery. Dragon Strength Divine Primordial Skill, Mastery. Alchemy, Initial Insight, can invest Lifespan for evolutionary cultivation. Ultimate Skills, Gale Shadowless Leg, Accomplished. 7 Swords of the Leaf Family, Unlearned. 8 Directions Step, Unlearned, can invest Lifespan for evolutionary cultivation. Guan then planned to favor the 7 Swords of the Leaf Family again, then continue to save his lifespan, amassing up to the 100,000 mark before using it. For now, he needed to rest for a few days to calm his excited heart. With his Nascent Soul Realm cultivation, he could indeed go to the Supreme Sect to obtain a decent position and treatment, but when he thought of the Supreme Sect sending him to slay demons, combat the demon path, and the potential for internal conflicts, he calmed his wandering thoughts. Stay true to your original aspiration to achieve the ultimate result. Nobody could change his mind. He planned to hole up in Mystic Valley to the end. He could occasionally seek out heavenly materials and earthly treasures, but he would never shift his focus from Mystic Valley. A higher position might accelerate the increase of his lifespan, but the danger would rise proportionally. Anyway, without enemies, why rush? Guan turned and walked down the mountain. The Nascent Soul Realm could already fly, but he chose not to. He chose to walk down the mountain instead. When he reached Medicine Valley, Xiaochuan and others gradually came out. "Senior brother, you were up the mountain so early?" Yi Lan greeted Guan. She oddly felt that today's senior brother looked even more attractive. Guan smiled and said, "I went to check on the seeds. Today, you will lead their training." Yi Lan nodded in agreement and wanted to ask more, but Guan had already headed towards the pavilion. Not far away, Wuxin watched Gu and his figure, thinking to himself, there must be some mystery in the mountain forest. I will definitely find it. Guan walked up the stairs and pushed open the door. As soon as he entered, he saw the white spirit rat lying on the table, its body swollen like a balloon, while the green vine fruit had disappeared. Still breathing, not dead. He immediately used lifespan detection on the white spirit rat. White spirit rat, First Order 12/120/180. Its lifespan had increased by 70 years. Initially, the white spirit rat's lifespan was only 50 years. Was the effect of the green vine fruit this potent? Guan immediately went to the wooden cabinet, took out a green vine fruit, and started to eat. Chapter 21. Liya returns, divine weapon of the Li family. Guan took his first bite of the green vine fruit and immediately felt a surge of warmth spread through his body. It's working. He began devouring it in big bites, and in no time, the large green vine fruit was completely consumed. As he digested, he pulled up his attribute panel, eagerly awaiting an increase in his lifespan. However, he waited for an entire hour. There was no increase in his lifespan at all. But his qi blood did strengthen considerably, and his physical strength improved. What's going on? Is my realm too high, or is this fruit only suitable for spirit beasts and demon beasts? Guan wondered to himself. He looked at the white spirit rat on the table, which was still sound asleep. Its lifespan hadn't increased further, but its aura was steadily rising. Let's wait a bit longer. The white spirit rat slept for 3 days. When it woke up, it had grown to the size of an adult cat. It jumped into Guan's arms, nuzzling him affectionately, but its eyes were fixed on the cabinet behind him. No more eating. Reading a book, Guan huffed. If it continued to grow, it would certainly cause trouble. Xiaochuan and the others would be curious. Likely, Lu Jiujia and Yi Lan would soon join the outer sect, and Guan did not want them to know too many of his secrets. The white spirit rat looked at Guan pitifully and even nodded, which made Guan's eyes widen. It understood? Guan pointed to the side with his right hand and said, "Come over here." The white spirit rat immediately jumped over without any hesitation. He continued to give instructions, and as long as they weren't complex, the white spirit rat could follow them all. This made him grow even fonder of it. Finally, a bit of the demeanor of a spirit beast. Guan picked up the white spirit rat and left the house with it. It was autumn, and the various gardens were filled with piles of fallen leaves. Xiaochuan and the others were busy cleaning, and Medicine Valley felt peaceful. Guan walked down the stairs and put the white spirit rat on the ground, no eating randomly. After he said that, he pointed to the white spirit rat's mouth. It nodded, seemingly understanding, then turned and hopped away. Guan watched with a peculiar look. It behaves like a rabbit? Could it be that it not only increased lifespan but also altered its genes? The first one to notice the white spirit rat was Yi Lan, mainly because she was drawn by Guan's gaze. Then she saw a large white rat running towards her, and her face changed dramatically with fear. "There's a rat demon!" Yi Lan screamed, instantly attracting the attention of Lu Jiujia, Xiaochuan, and Wuxin. When they saw the white spirit rat, they were immediately frightened. They had never seen such a large rat before. "White spirit rat, slow down." Guan's voice came, and the white spirit rat immediately stopped when it heard him. It looked back at him, then turned and headed towards the forest, its speed much slower than before. Seeing this, Yi Lan and the others put down their tools and ran over to Guan. "Senior brother, is that white spirit rat yours? How did it get so big? It must be another white spirit rat, right? It feels a bit clumsy with weak legs." This spirit beast's bloodline is not simple. Listening to the comments from his junior brothers and sisters, Guan just smiled and remained silent, letting them guess. Guan looked at the group and said, "In a while, I plan to visit the outer sect. Who wants to come with me?" With these words, except for Wuxin, everyone else wanted to go. Great opportunity. Wuxin remained expressionless, but his heart was highly excited. After a bit of competition, Guan chose to take Yi Lan and Xiaochuan to the outer sect, setting the time for 7 days later. Why 7 days? Because he first planned to thoroughly explore the 8 scenic caves. Guwen turned and looked towards the valley entrance, where a figure was walking. It was Liye. After many years, Liye had gained a bit of aged and cold sternness. His black robe fluttered in the autumn wind, and with the sword at his waist, he exuded an aloof swordsman air that was undeniable. Xiaochuan and the other 4 noticed Liye, and his presence made them tense. Anyone who came to Medicine Valley usually had a higher status than them, not to mention this person looked hard to approach. Guwen assessed Liye's lifespan and found he had already reached the 4th layer of the Foundation Establishment Realm. That's remarkably quick. As expected of the first person I found with a life grid. Guwen walked over immediately, followed closely by the others. Liye scanned everything in Medicine Valley. When his gaze fell on Guwen, he seemed a bit dazed. Back then, Guwen had always followed others. Now he could lead the other servant disciples. Indeed, things had changed. Guwen came up to him, cupped his hands and smiled. "Brotherly, long time no see. Injured?" Guwen could feel his chi blood was chaotic, his breathing shallow, clearly suffering from internal injuries. Liye smiled and said, "It's been many years indeed. Where's Master? And where are Senior Brother and Meng Lang?" Guwen said helplessly, "Master's time was up and he passed away some time ago. After you left, Senior Brother also left the valley. As for Meng Lang, he went to participate in the outer sect assessment and hasn't returned." Hearing this, Liye was stunned. Xiaochuan and the others whispered among themselves, guessing Liye's identity. Previously, Meng Lang had often mentioned there was a member of the imperial family serving as a servant disciple here, someone he called a brother. Liye sighed, "So it's just you left?" Guwen asked, "Want to sit in the building?" Liye nodded. He came back mainly to revisit the old place and also to heal. Only here did he feel safe. Guwen led Liye to the pavilion while signaling the others to continue cleaning the fallen leaves. Upon reaching the Valley Master's pavilion, as Liye stepped onto the stairs, emotions surged within him, and he couldn't help but start coughing, his face turning pale. Walking in front, Guwen's expression changed slightly. He felt a faint soul wave from Liye. Good heavens! Does this guy have an old grandfather spirit with him? Guwen turned his head and asked with concern, "Brotherly, what's wrong?" Liye waved his hand, "Nothing, just a bit injured." "Injured? Then stay here for now. There are plenty of places to stay in Medicine Valley." Guwen said immediately. Liye smiled and nodded, thinking, Gu Junior Brother is still so considerate. This time I should help him out. The two entered the house, and Guwen made Liye sit down before preparing tea for him. Liye looked around the room, his gaze quickly settling on the green vine fruit in the wooden cabinet. Over the past 3 days, Guwen had stored most of the green vine fruits in his storage bag, leaving only 2 in the cabinet to prevent the white spirit rat from sneaking them. If the white spirit rat stole them, he couldn't bear to kill it, so he hid the green vine fruits instead. That fruit, Liye squinted, but he didn't look too long. His gaze soon returned to Guwen. Having not seen Guwen for years, he was amazed by his current air. Previously, Guwen had a delicate appearance but didn't possess the striking aura he had now, much like a great cultivator from the inner sect, calm with a touch of transcendence. If he hadn't sensed that Guwen's cultivation was only in the 4th layer of the Qi cultivation realm, he would have doubted if this was the same Guwen he knew. As the water boiled, Guwen sat at the table and chatted with Liye. To avoid an awkward atmosphere, Guwen asked about the lives of outer sect disciples, and Liye answered in detail. As an outer sect disciple, you must complete 1 outer sect bounty task per year? Guwen asked curiously. Liye smiled. That's right, and it's an external task. Have you encountered demons? Almost every time we go out, the Taicang dynasty is too vast, and some places are always plagued by demons. Last year, I nearly died outside. It was a 3rd-tier demon beast, comparable to the core formation realm. My friends and I fought fiercely, resulting in 1 death and the rest of us severely injured, barely escaping. Liye answered, showing a look of fear at the end. 3rd tier? Core formation realm? Guwen feigned astonishment, lifting the gloom in Liye's heart. He started to recount the specific details, and Guwen listened with genuine interest, responding with fitting reactions. In truth, he was genuinely curious about Li Ya's experiences. After listening, he only felt one thing. Too dangerous. Luckily, I wasn't an outer sect disciple. Besides demons, you also have to watch out for other cultivators. During a treasure hunt, I clashed with disciples from another sect, entangled with them for half a month, finally killing him. But guess what then? Li Ya's excitement rose as he started another story. Guwen guessed, his dad came? Li Ya looked at him with surprise and shook his head. Not his dad, but close. His master came. Good heavens! Guwen felt even more grateful he wasn't in the outer sect. If the outer sect was like this, how much more dangerous must the inner sect be? Li Ya continued explaining his wit battles with the enemy's master, making Guwen feel like he was listening to a storytelling session. Quite thrilling. When the water boiled, Guwen got up to brew tea. Li Ya asked casually, "Junior brother, are the fruits in the cabinet left by master?" Guwen, facing away from him, replied, "I found them outside. Don't you remember? The white spirit rat is a treasure-hunting rat." Li Ya raised his eyebrows. It can really hunt treasures? He suddenly wanted to raise a white spirit rat too. After a moment's hesitation, he said, "Junior brother, can you give me one to heal? I won't let you suffer a loss. Do you want a secret book or a magic artifact?" Guwen turned, carrying the tea tray to him, and said nonchalantly, "I'll give you one directly. No need to give me anything. What kind of relationship do we have?" Hearing this, Li Ya felt deeply touched. In the outer sect all these years, though he had friends, they were all based on benefits. No one had ever treated him so kindly, without expecting anything in return. Having said that, Guwen walked to the cabinet, took out a green vine fruit, and placed it beside Li Ya's teacup. His action made Li Ya even more ashamed. Li Ya, you looked down on him in Medicine Valley before. Even though you joined the outer sect, you still have to rely on him to save you, Li Ya mocked himself inwardly. He then raised his hand and took out a treasured sword from his storage bag. The scabbard was green, inlaid with gems, the patterns intricate, exuding an air of wealth and grandeur. The hilt seemed to entwine a dark golden dragon. This sword, placed by Li Ya on the table, made a crisp, heavy sound. Li Ya stroked the sword and said softly, "My mother gave it to me. I'll give it to you. This sword might save your life one day." Guwen was stunned by the sword. Even though he only saw the scabbard, he felt the power within. After all, he was a Nascent Soul Realm cultivator. He saw more than Li Ya. Chapter 22, 2000 Years of Evolution, Taicang Divine Shocking Sword. "No, I can't accept it. How could I take the sword your mother left you?" Guwen quickly waved his hand, expressing honest concern. Such a treasure sword must have a significant backstory and could bring trouble. Li Ya lowered his eyes, looking at the scabbard, lost in his own memories. "This sword is called Heavenly Residence. It has been with me since I was 3 years old. Now, I cannot fully utilize its power, and I am no longer qualified to use it. Leaving it with you is better. Maybe in this Medicine Valley, it will encounter its destined owner." Guwen, puzzled, asked, "Why are you not qualified? This sword can't be related to the imperial family, can it? If so, I dare not accept it." The thought of entangling with the Li family gave him a headache. Indeed, the sword was stunning and to his liking, but he preferred not to have his life disturbed. Li Ya looked at him and smiled. "Even if I told you, you wouldn't understand. Don't worry, this sword won't bring you trouble. The Li family wouldn't dare to seize it because it was a love token from my father to my mother. With its presence, the Li family wouldn't dare to harm you. If you ever encounter insurmountable trouble, you can take this sword and go to Changluo to find my father." How could someone of my humble status face the emperor? Don't worry. The moment Heavenly Residence appears in Changluo, my father will sense it. In short, you must accept it. Otherwise, I won't eat this fruit. Then don't eat it. Guwen almost blurted out but held back. He looked again at the Heavenly Residence sword. Up to now, he didn't have a single magic artifact of his own. Cheng Xuanden's inheritance only included talisman paper, without a single sword. What is there to fear? I am a Nascent Soul Realm cultivator. If I encounter any unresolvable trouble, I can just throw the sword to the opponent. Taking a deep breath, Guwen reached out to grab Heavenly Residence. The sword had some weight, and his right hand trembled as he lifted it, causing Liya to laugh heartily. Junior brother Gu, even if your aptitude is ordinary, never forget to cultivate. You must practice the Li family's seven-sword art that I taught you, Liya earnestly advised. Guwen, holding the Heavenly Residence sword with both hands, forced a smile and nodded. Boy, you still need to sharpen your insight. And so, Liya settled in Medicine Valley, with Guwen personally arranging a secluded courtyard for him, ensuring he was undisturbed. Seated cross-legged on the bed with a half-eaten green vine fruit beside him, Liya performed hand seals, continuously cultivating energy for healing. A faint blue silhouette emerged from Liya's body, swirling inside the room. It was an old man with kind eyes, dressed in a slightly fluttering robe, exuding an aura of a high-ranking enlightened being. Liya opened his eyes and asked, "Ancestor, what kind of fruit is this?" Its medicinal effects are overpowering. The soul body of the old man, referred to as Ancestor, waved his hand, causing a spatial fluctuation within the room. He then stroked his beard and smiled. It should be the green vine fruit nurtured by the holy tree of Thousand Autumn Pavilion. Even the lowest grade of green vine fruit is of the 6th rank. Consider yourself lucky. The fruit of Thousand Autumn Pavilion? So they have infiltrated this deeply. No wonder the Supreme Sect considers them a great enemy. Liya murmured. The Ancestor looked at the green vine fruit and said, Thousand Autumn Pavilion and the Supreme Sect have held grudges for over 1,000 years. Each sect has planted countless spies within the other. Your junior brother Gu is fortunate. If not for meeting you, the green vine fruit would have brought him disaster. Liya shook his head. It's not that he is just lucky, he is kind and righteous. Such people are always rewarded. On the contrary, I consider myself the fortunate one. The Ancestor nodded. Indeed. In the immortal cultivation world, people like him are rare. However, you needn't feel too guilty. Giving him the Heavenly Residence sword holds greater significance for him than the green vine fruit. Hearing him mention the Heavenly Residence sword, Liya sighed. I have failed my mother's expectations. I don't wish to contend for the throne. I only want to avenge her and then travel the world, far from courtly strife. The Heavenly Residence is one of the 3 Emperor swords of Taicang. To fully harness its power, you must master the Emperor-level sword technique. Your 9 devastating swords are only at a minor level. It would take another 100 years for you to master the Emperor-level sword technique, the Elder mused. Liya fell silent. The Ancestor teased, you couldn't easily defeat that young fellow named Qiong. You must strive harder, knowing that your 4th brother has already reached the core formation realm. Liya took a deep breath and said nothing more, closing his eyes to continue healing. The Ancestor looked out the window. Although it was tightly shut, he could hear the laughter of Xiaochuan and the others. This is indeed a good place, far from worldly disputes. Sadly, those with missions are not meant for such places. Forget it, no more sighing. I should go back to sleep and rest. Deep in the night, Mystic Valley was silent. Using Dragon Strength Divine Primordial Skill to conceal his energy, Guwen silently left Mystic Valley, making his way to the mountain forest over 20 miles away. Sitting under a tree, he opened his attribute panel, focusing on the Li family's 7-sword art. How many years of lifespan should I invest? After some thought, he decided to invest more to increase his actual combat power. Then let it be 2,000 years. With this investment, he planned to conserve his lifespan for 10,000 years. He immediately chose to invest 2,000 years of lifespan. As soon as he had this thought, the first digit of his lifespan changed from 4 to 2. You have invested 2,000 years of lifespan to cultivate the Li family's 7-sword art. You have cultivated the Li family's 7-sword art for 10 years, mastering the sword art, beginning to consider more possibilities. You have cultivated the Li family's seven-sword art for 50 years, reaching the pinnacle, and your Li family's seven-sword art has elevated to the seven-sword art. You have cultivated the Li family's seven-sword art for 300 years, achieving the pinnacle, and your seven-sword art was elevated to the 9 devastating swords. You have cultivated the Li family's seven-sword art for 500 years, mastering the 9 devastating swords, and have condensed your own sword intent. You have cultivated the Li family's seven-sword art for 1,000 years, reaching the pinnacle with the 9 devastating swords, which was elevated to the Emperor-level sword technique. You have cultivated the Li family's seven-sword art for 1,200 years, condensing the heaven and earth imperial energy with your sword intent, enhancing your sword Dao comprehension. You have cultivated the Li family's seven-sword art for 1,800 years, mastering the Emperor-level sword technique, comprehending the true essence of sword Dao, entering a state of enlightenment, and elevating the Emperor-level sword technique to the Taicang divine shocking sword. You have cultivated the Li family's seven-sword art for 2,000 years, mastering the Taicang divine shocking sword, and enhancing your sword Dao comprehension. A series of notifications popped up frenziedly. Upon seeing that the cultivation time had reached 1,000 years, Guwen immediately activated the lifespan barrier. He feared alerting the mysterious underground presence and the soul within Li Ya's body. When all notifications concluded, a vast memory surged into his mind, and the ground emanated spiritual energy. However, this spiritual energy did not enter his body but swirled around him, gradually condensing into strands of cold light like sword light, shining with an extraordinary glow in the dark night. Guwen entered a state of path enlightenment. It was uncertain how much time had passed before he gradually awakened. At that moment, dawn had not yet broken. Guwen first looked at the lifespan barrier's consumption notification. Goodness, merely comprehending the cultivation technique had consumed 300 years of his lifespan. Fortunately, he had completely mastered the Taicang divine shocking sword, reaching an integrating realm in understanding sword Dao, giving him a wondrous feeling. Checking the attribute panel again, he saw that the Li family's seven-sword art in the ultimate skill section had changed to the Taicang divine shocking sword, with the words, integrating realm in parentheses. He did not immediately get up but instead took out heavenly residence, placing the scabbard horizontally on his legs, his hands pressing on it while his eyes closed. He was sensing the sword intent. Once the sword intent merged with his own, he could conquer this treasure sword. The interior of this treasure sword unexpectedly had many restrictions, like a series of magical checkpoints awaiting the sword master to breach using divine sense and spiritual power. Guwen did not understand restrictions, but fortunately he already had his own sword intent. His sword intent penetrated through the restrictions. An hour later, Guwen stood up, putting the heavenly residence into the storage bag, and then walked towards Mystic Valley. With a step out, he immediately floated in midair, gathering sword chi beneath his feet, traveling on the sword. Upon reaching a distance of about 10 miles from Mystic Valley, he landed and continued to walk on foot, concealing his energy to the utmost. The night gradually passed, and the eastern sky began to show a pink hue. Morning arrived. Liya pushed open the door. Greeted by the sunrise, he stretched lazily, feeling refreshed. The medicinal effects of the green vine fruit were truly powerful. He no longer felt discomfort and sensed that he would be fully healed in a few days. Liya smiled, looking at the lawn next to the far garden where Guwen was leading the junior brothers and sisters in exercises. The slow, rhythmic movements piqued Liya's curiosity. Though the movements were slow, he felt an inexplicable subtlety in them. Immediately, Liya walked over, arriving beside Guwen, who greeted him with a nod in response. "What are you practicing?" Liya asked curiously. Guwen smiled and answered, "I learned this from an old man in my childhood. It helps strengthen the body and keep a good mental state. I practice it with them daily to ensure they start the day with a good spirit." Lu Jiujia complained, "Actually, I don't think it does much." Xiao Chuan glared at him, "That's because your aptitude is dull." Liya said, "Actually, it does help, but you need to keep at it for a long time." Saying this as an outer disciple naturally made everyone believe him. Guwen glanced at Liye, feeling that he had become more amiable, speaking so considerately. In truth, he led the junior brothers and sisters in exercises to completely shift their focus from cultivation and dreams, preventing them from ruining his plants. After you finish practicing, they'll teach you a set of swordsmanship, Liye said with a smile. Xiaochuan and the others were instantly excited, thanking him profusely and calling him senior brother Liye, one after another. Liye looked at Guwen and said, "You join too. Now that you have a sword, you should practice more." Guwen smiled and nodded. "Fine. Let me test if your Li family's seven-sword art has been practiced well." Liye's participation made the atmosphere more lively. Watching the junior brothers and sisters noisily chattering, he did not feel annoyed but rather delighted. It wasn't until noon that Liye pulled Guwen into the forest. "Show me your Li family's seven-sword art. Once you master it, I can teach you the real swordsmanship." "This Li family seven-sword art is just basic sword moves," Liye said seriously. Chapter 23 Soul-Shaking Bell Yin-Yang Art. In the forest, Guwen could not resist Liye's insistence and eventually performed a clumsy set of the Li family's seven swords. Only then did he realize that pretending to be incompetent was harder than pretending to be skilled. Faced with Guwen's stiff sword moves, Liye criticized him for a long time, then began patiently teaching him sword practice. Through his sword moves, Guwen could judge that he was already practicing the 9 devastating swords, showing considerable talent. At least, his talent in sword Dao surpassed Guwen's. The second day arrived, and once again, Liye dragged Guwen to practice swords. Guwen couldn't bear it any longer. "Brother Li, I lack the talent for sword practice, so let it go. I have only a few decades in my life. If I rigorously practice the sword, wouldn't it be a waste? Compared to practicing swords, I prefer planting and tending flowers." Guwen said helplessly, secretly urging the dragon strength within his body, causing his eyes to turn red. Liye, holding a sword, suddenly felt a blockage in his heart. What was he doing? Repaying junior brother Gu in the way he liked? Wasn't this also a form of harm? Liye couldn't help but think of his childhood when the emperor forced him to learn alongside his imperial brothers, but the things his brothers excelled at he could never master. He sighed, walked to Guwen, patted him on the shoulder and said, "Junior brother Gu, it was inconsiderate of me. I'm sorry." Guwen forced a smile. "It's okay, senior brother. You're thinking of me, but it's just that I'm useless, lacking in talent." The more Guwen acted this way, the more guilty Liye felt. They sat down and began to chat about their first year in the valley, easing the tension of sword practice. For the next few days, Liye no longer pestered Guwen to practice swords, but he would still spend an ancient hour teaching Xiaochuan and others sword practice. For Xiaochuan and the others, whose dreams had not yet been extinguished, learning swords from an outer disciple was a rare opportunity. 5 days later, Liye was preparing to leave. Guwen, along with junior and senior disciples, escorted Liye to the entrance of the valley. Xiaochuan and others were reluctant. They had learned so much from Liye. "Senior brother, this place will always be your home. Come back often," Guwen said with a face full of reluctance. Ripples arose in Liye's heart, but his face maintained a serene smile. "Yes, I will come back." After saying that, he turned and left. Dressed in black, he moved through the forest like a black flame, burning fiercely, with the autumn wind unable to extinguish his fire. Guwen sensed that he was burning with some kind of determination, possibly related to his recent injury. Only after Liye disappeared into the depths of the forest did Guwen turn his gaze back to the junior and senior disciples. He smiled and said, "Cultivate well, and soon go to the outer sect to seek senior brother Li and bring honor to our mystic valley." Lu Jiojia immediately made a bold declaration, vowing to enter the outer sect. Xiaochuan said the same, though his confidence was clearly less than Lu Jiejia's. Yi Lan was preoccupied, lost in thought. Wuxin spoke up, "I won't go to the outer sect. I will stay with senior brother for a lifetime." Everyone looked at him in surprise, including Guwen, This child, Guwen felt touched. Had he misjudged Wuxin? Lately, Wuxin had been very well behaved, not wandering around late at night, and nothing had been stolen from Mystic Valley, so it couldn't be concluded that Wuxin had ill intent. Given this, more chores should be assigned to Wuxin in the future. Yi Lan felt a twinge of regret. How had Wuxin managed to say what she wanted to say first? At the same time, she realized that perhaps, in her heart, senior brother was important, but not as important as pursuing immortal cultivation for longevity. Lu Jiujia couldn't help but mock Wuxin for being so sycophantic, and soon, Xiaochuan, Yi Lan, and Wuxin started arguing with him. Guwen led them back to the valley, but his mind was drifting towards the underground. Liya had already left. Next, he had to prepare to deal with the underground troubles. Late at night, in the 8 scenic caves, Guwen, holding the heavenly resident sword scabbard, came to Meng Lang. Meng Lang, with his orifices sealed by soil, still lay on the grass. The grass around here shows signs of tampering. As expected, there's someone. Guwen keenly noticed subtle changes in the grass around Meng Lang. It's hard for an ordinary cultivator to detect this. He noticed it because he specifically observed the area last time he left. He gripped the heavenly resident sword and then walked toward the cave where Meng Lang had initially emerged. Before long, he disappeared into the darkness. This tunnel was dim, with few crystal stones. However, for the divine sense of a nascent soul realm cultivator, it posed no challenge. The cold spirit wind blew in the tunnel, ruffling Guwen's robes, and his divine sense had already reached the end of the tunnel. There was a spacious cavern, not as large as the main cavern of the 8 scenic caves, but still sizable. Here stood several coffins, with a large bluish-green crystal stone embedded in the ceiling, casting an eerie glow on the frightening coffins below. Apart from the coffins, there was nothing else. Guwen's divine sense immediately detected a faint sign of life inside one of the coffins. This trace of life could not escape the divine sense of a nascent soul realm cultivator. Guwen did not sense any danger from this faint life force, but he remained cautious. He advanced slowly and walked for a long time before reaching the end of the tunnel. He stood at the entrance and carefully peered inside. He cautiously asked, "Is anyone there?" There was no answer, as if the cavern was devoid of anyone. Guwen picked up a stone from the ground and threw it inside. With a thud, the stone hit one of the coffins. The coffin remained still, but Guwen seemed frightened and his eyes widened. He instinctively stepped back, feigning a look of panic. Why hadn't there been a response yet? Continuing the act any longer would be awkward. Guwen grew anxious. He did this to gauge the attitude of the presence hidden here. After all, it had not harmed him before, and he did not want to wrongly kill a good person. At least, he needed to be at peace with himself. Gritting his teeth, Guwen suddenly drew his sword and rushed into the cavern, slashing wildly. With a crack, the heavenly resident's sword struck a coffin lid and got stuck. As he pulled it with force, his body staggered back a few steps due to the inertia. Puha, a soft laugh echoed, sounding particularly sharp in the cavern. Goosebumps nearly rose on Guwen's skin. It was a woman's voice, sounding eerily like a female ghost laughing. He nervously scanned the surroundings, holding the heavenly resident's sword, his body turning in circles constantly, afraid that demons or ghosts might suddenly charge at him. "Boy, are you Qing Xuanden's disciple?" That mysterious female voice spoke again, her alluring tone making one's imagination run wild. Guwen quickly replied, "Yes, senior. Cheng Xiandan is my master. Who are you and why are you here?" "Those who are here are naturally your martial master. Cheng Xiandan is my disciple. Since you entered, it means his time is up, correct?" The mysterious female voice ceased laughing and spoke with a hint of melancholy. Guwen replied, "So you are my martial master. Nice to meet you, martial master." Master's life indeed came to an end. He said that he wanted to emulate you, seeking a place unknown to others to face the end of his life. The cavern fell into silence. Guwen remained vigilant. If the other side wanted to attack him, no matter how he was related, he would show no mercy. The heavenly resident's sword in his hand had not yet been stained with blood. After a long while, just as Guwen was about to speak, the other voice spoke again. Did Qing Xiandan tell you my identity? Guwen whispered, Master told me everything. You come from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. He also told me to be ready to assist someone from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion at any time. You seem timid and cowardly, cautious as you entered. You must not be here willingly, only finding out about all this after he passed the position of Valley Master to you? The voice teased. Guwen sighed, revealing his helplessness. This time he wasn't acting, he genuinely felt helpless. Since you have already become his disciple, you are also my disciple's disciple. Guard here for 10 more years. After 10 years, I will leave Supreme Sect and not bring you any trouble. After hearing this, Guwen couldn't help but ask, May I ask the martial master's name? My surname is Jiang, given name Qiong. As for my title in the Immortal cultivation world, it's better not to mention it. Jiang Qiong? The name sounded pleasant enough, though who knows how many years she had lived. While Guwen was pondering, a coffin in front suddenly opened, startling him to the point of raising his sword. 2 items flew out of the coffin and landed before him. He looked down and saw a small black bell and a secret book. Consider this my gift to my disciple's disciple, the soul-shaking bell. It can repulse all Myriad poison mystic skills poison spells. As long as you shake it, all corpse poisons in this cave will heed your command. The book is my technique of immortal cultivation, the Yin-Yang art. The Yin-Yang art includes the spell to refine the soul-shaking bell, something not even your master could learn. Jiang Qiong's voice came again, sounding somewhat fatigued. Guwen immediately bowed in gratitude, unable to resist asking, Disciple's talent is mediocre. Why do you treat me so well, martial master? Mediocre talent? Boy, though it's unclear what miracle skill you practice, your actual cultivation level is certainly not limited to the 4th layer of the energy cultivation realm. You should have already entered the foundation establishment. To achieve foundation establishment at such a young age makes you a genius. The fact that you can suppress your arrogance, hiding as a servant disciple in the outer sect, hints at a burdening secret, but at least it shows you are quite resistant to Supreme Sect. Your talent satisfies me, and your behavior aligns with my taste. Cultivate well, and I'll teach you more spells later. Once you inherit my mantle, I'll recommend you for the status of true disciple in the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. Jiang Qiong resumed her previous alluring laughter, causing Guwen's face to change, feeling exposed and somewhat embarrassed. Taking a deep breath, Guwen said, Thank you, Martial Master. If you have any instructions, please tell me at any time. After speaking, he bent down to pick up the soul-shaking bell and the yin-yang art before turning and leaving. Jiang Qiong's voice no longer echoed in the cavern, and Guwen quickly returned to the 8 scenic caves. Sitting under a tree, he began to study the yin-yang art. He contemplated whether Jiang Qiong harbored any ill intentions. Just 10 years wasn't too worrying. He wasn't just a nascent soul realm cultivator, he also mastered the Taicang divine shocking sword. Jiang Qiong clearly wasn't a good person. She only feared Guwen's foundation establishment realm strength. In 10 short years, how could she go from fearing the foundation establishment realm to effortlessly suppressing the nascent soul realm? She hadn't just hidden here. According to Qing Xiandan, she had been dead for 70 years. During these 10 years, he needed to find ways to learn more spells and secret books from her. If she behaved and departed in 10 years, Guwen wouldn't have to resort to betrayal. If she harbored ill intentions, Guwen would have to let the heavenly resident's sword taste blood. Chapter 24. Jiang Qiong of Core Formation Realm 9 Layers. Spring passed and autumn came, 5 years flew by in the blink of an eye. In these 5 years, Guwen continued his plan of dedicating a year of his life every night, resulting in an expenditure of over 1,800 years of his life over the 5 years, and his cultivation realm reached the 8th layer of the Nascent Soul Realm. After surpassing the 5th layer of the Nascent Soul Realm, the time required for each subsequent subrealm doubled, and Guwen, who was in the process of transformation, could only train rigorously, taking even more time. Presently, He had a remaining lifespan of about 10,200 years. The addition of the 8 scenic caves increased his annual lifespan income. 5 years passed, and 3 more servant disciples joined Mystic Valley, all of whom became disciples of Guan, 2 males and 1 female, named Tangyu, Su Han, and Zhenqin in order of age from oldest to youngest. Guan no longer selected disciples based on qualifications. He chose those with mediocre qualifications to avoid trouble. Their maximum lifespan was around 200 years, and on this basis, he chose disciples who appealed to him. On this day, at the mouth of the valley, Xiaochuan, Yilan, Wuxin, Tangyu, Su Han, and Zhenqin surrounded Lu Jiujia. Senior brother, I wish you success. Uncle Master, don't forget us when you go to the outer sect. Don't worry, Medicine Valley has me. If you fail, I'll definitely laugh at you. Today was the day Lu Jiujia was going to the outer sect for the assessment. Guan cut a green vine fruit into 4 parts and distributed them to the 4 junior brothers and sisters, significantly boosting their cultivation level, with Lu Jiujia being the first to reach the 9th layer of the Qi cultivation realm. It was worth mentioning that ever since consuming the green vine fruit, Wuxin had completely calmed down, practicing diligently in his room every night without wandering the mountains. He also became more hardworking in his tasks. The 23-year-old Lu Jiujia was full of high spirits. He looked towards the pavilion where his senior brother lived and saw his senior brother standing by the window watching him, which warmed his heart. Wait for my good news, I won't let you down, senior brother. Lu Jiujia said with a proud smile, then turned and left. With years of practice in the residual wind leg, he felt he could make a name for himself in the outer sect. Guan, dressed in a white-bottomed black robe, watched Lu Jiujia leave from afar, with mixed emotions in his heart. He couldn't tell whether it was relief or reluctance, perhaps both. I'm only 27 and already feeling so emotional. What will happen when I'm 200, 2,000, or even 20,000 years old? Guan laughed self-deprecatingly. He turned and walked to the table, sat down, picked up the Green Hero Travelogue, and continued to savor it. This Green Hero Travelogue was published last year and in his opinion, it was a peak masterpiece. The author's skills in writing about fleeting emotions had reached the transformation realm. An ancient hour later, Wuxin came to visit. At 21, he was still dressed as a monk. Guan often teased him as a handsome monk Tang, especially after Guan had specially ordered a monk robe for him from the outer sect, enhancing his charm even more. Senior brother, I have finished watering the garden on the mountain. Is there anything else you need today? Wuxin softly asked as he walked to Guan's side. Casting a glance at the Green Hero Travelogue, his fair face instantly turned red. Without raising his eyes, Guan said, There's nothing else, you can go practice now. Wuxin walked to the opposite side of the table but did not leave, looking hesitant. Guan glanced at him and asked, Is there something else? In his black robe, he already had the oppressive aura of a superior. In recent years, Medicine Valley's harvest was good, and he without a private fund, bought new clothes for everyone in Medicine Valley, making them no longer look like servant disciples. Wuxin gritted his teeth and said, Senior brother, to be honest, with my qualifications, I can never join the outer sect. I truly wish to accompany you in the Medicine Valley for the rest of my life. Guan put down the Green Hero Travelogue and studied him carefully. Isn't this just one meaning behind his words? He wanted to progress. Guan frowned with a look of difficulty. Seeing his expression, Wuxin became anxious and directly knelt down. Senior brother, what's missing in me? I work harder and am more obedient than them, yet they all want to go to the outer sect, but I don't. Wuxin said excitedly, his eyes turning red. Guan noticed that he had activated some cultivation technique, causing his qi blood to surge. You brat, are you trying to imitate me? Guan said earnestly, Wuxin, in my heart, there is no one better or worse, like the green vine fruit, I split it equally among you. But the position of the chief disciple is very important, even representing the next valley master. Although I am a servant disciple, my treatment is not inferior to that of ordinary outer sect disciples. I must repay the sect's kindness. You seem to be hiding something from me, of course, Everyone has their unspeakable reasons. I don't want to ask more, you will always be my junior brother, but the position of the chief disciple, he sighed at the end, showing a helpless expression. Wuxin was stunned, not expecting that his actions from years ago had been noticed by senior brother early on. His first reaction was panic, followed by moving emotion. That nighttime intelligence probe took place 5 years ago, yet senior brother had tolerated him for 5 years. What does that mean? Senior brother truly considered him as one of his own. Putting himself in senior brother's shoes, Wuxin felt that if he were in senior brother's place, he would have severely punished such a junior brother long ago. Wuxin felt more and more ashamed the more he thought. He really couldn't act anymore. Senior brother, actually, Wuxin gritted his teeth, seeming to make a huge decision. Actually, I come from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. My father is one of the 72 pavilion masters of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. I am dull-witted and constantly bullied by my brothers and sisters, so I escaped. The reason I wandered around during those nights was because I heard about senior brother Li Ya's deeds. I wanted to see if there was any opportunity to prove myself to my father in the future, but I have given up now. I can't compare to my brothers and sisters, or even to Lu Jiojia. Wuxin said in one breath, lowering his head, not daring to look at Guan. Guan's face showed shock and disbelief. You, hearing senior brother's trembling voice, Wuxin felt even more ashamed, pressing his forehead tightly to the ground. Guan truly hadn't expected Wuxin to be from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. What is this? Might as well call it the Thousand Autumn Valley instead of the Mystic Valley. Guan secretly spread his divine sense, forming an invisible barrier to prevent eavesdropping. He was silent for a while, then heavily sighed and said, "Forget it, stand up and talk first." Tense and uneasy, Wuxin breathed a sigh of relief. Wuxin stood up and saw the complex expression on Guan's face, feeling even more moved. Indeed, senior brother truly cared for him. I'm not very familiar with the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. I heard it's a demonic sect? Guan asked, taking a deep breath. Wuxin nodded and said, "Indeed it is, and the most evil demonic sect, skilled in corpse path, poison skills, soul capturing, and poison creatures. I couldn't stay there, so I escaped. Will your father come looking for you? I have to consider other disciples." Guan asked worriedly. Wuxin quickly waved his hand. "He would never look for me, he would rather I was dead. I am his greatest humiliation." Hearing this, Guan's face relaxed a bit, sternly scolding, "Wuxin, I won't allow you to belittle yourself like this. How can a person's worth be judged solely by their cultivation level?" Wuxin scratched his head and said with a silly laugh, "I know, but the Thousand Autumn Pavilion is a demonic sect, and people in demonic sects are not normal." Guan nodded as if remembering something and asked, "By the way, have you heard of the name Jiang Qiong in the Thousand Autumn Pavilion?" Jiang Qiong. Wuxin was taken aback, frowning in thought. After a few breaths, he suddenly recalled and said, "I remember, she was the top genius of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion 100 years ago and the daughter of the second pavilion master, but she has fallen for many years. I heard my father mention her when I was young. He even wanted my elder brother to marry Jiang Qiong." Hearing this, Guan couldn't help but ask curiously, "How old is your father?" Wuxin replied, "Almost 500 years old, with over 100 children, so he wouldn't care even if I was lost." Guan was silent. The demonic sect style is somewhat enviable. Guan asked a few more questions, but Wuxin didn't know much about Jiang Qiong. "Since you have confessed your origins, I will train you to be the chief disciple. If the chief disciple position of a valley can bring back a lost demonic cultivator, it can be considered a merit. But for now, you cannot reveal this to anyone. You must win over everyone in the valley with your actions," Guan said seriously. Hearing this, Wuxin was overjoyed. He was about to bow and thank Guan, but Guan continued to remind, "From now on, you cannot mention the Thousand Autumn Pavilion even one bit, not even when alone. This is the supreme sect, even self-talk might be overheard." Wuxin nodded repeatedly, following the guidance meticulously. The two brothers shifted topics and chatted about other casual matters. Wuxin felt closer to senior brother, a feeling that made him grateful and realizing that he should have confessed to senior brother much earlier. At night, in the 8th Sina Caves, Guwen came to an open space by the underground river and began planting medicinal herbs. His movements were slow. Normally, he didn't practice much but enjoyed the planting process, planting lives instead of plants. The love of farming ingrained in Huaxia people came with his soul to the immortal cultivation world. After planting, he looked at his newly developed garden with satisfaction, orderly and uniquely beautiful. "My dear disciple, come in for a moment." Qiong's melodious voice came from within a cave, and Guwen immediately walked over. Over the years, Qiong often called him to help pick herbs, sometimes even for alchemy. Guwen wasn't working for free, his alchemy skills improved significantly in the process. Qiong's alchemy was far superior to Cheng Xuanden's, evident even in teaching. Arriving at the cave room, it was still dimly lit, with a pill furnace half the height of a person placed in the open space, ashes piled under the furnace. Just as Guwen was about to speak, he heard a noise and looked closely, only to see a coffin in the depths start to shake. Boom! The coffin lid fell, crashing to the ground, raising a cloud of dust. Guwen saw a skeletal hand, like a ghost claw, emerge from the standing coffin. He immediately cast a lifespan detection. Qiong, Core Formation Realm 9th Layer 185/304/2490, good heavens. A maximum lifespan close to 2,500 years. Why did the Core Formation Realm 9th Layer only have 300 years of lifespan? Could it be related to her injuries? Guwen wondered, while the last trace of apprehension in his heart disappeared. Chapter 25. Have you ever heard of the Nascent Soul Realm? Crack! A shriveled foot stepped out from the coffin, crushing a piece of charcoal beneath it. Guwen saw that it was a woman in tattered clothes, her hair disheveled and her body emaciated to the point of exaggeration, as if all her flesh and blood had been drained. The robe on her body, though in tatters, vaguely revealed a white garment. She wobbled out like a malicious ghost. Qiong slowly lifted her face, her features equally shriveled, with deep-set eyes and bulging pupils, looking terrifying. Her gaze fell on Guwen, scaring him so much that he quickly lowered his head. "Good grand disciple, thanks to your help in alchemy these past 5 years, I've recovered quickly." Qiong forced a smile, which looked even more horrifying, with foul air still spraying out from her mouth. She no longer referred to herself in the grandiose manner but simply as I, closing the gap between them considerably. Guwen forcibly held back his discomfort and said, "This is what a grand disciple should do, though I am perplexed about one thing." "Ask away." Qiong replied as she staggered toward the pill furnace. Guwen watched her and asked, "Since refining elixirs can help you recover quickly, why didn't you let my master help you before?" Cheng Xiandan thought Qiong had been dead for 70 years, meaning she had been hiding here for that long, and Cheng Xiandan had never discovered she was still alive. Qiong replied with a grim smile, "Because I didn't trust him. Your master was forced to become my disciple, his heart wavers. Who knows when he might betray me? Half of the coffins in this cave are filled with his disciples." Guwen remained silent. He believed Qiong was telling the truth, as Meng Lang had met such an end. Qiong sat in front of the pill furnace, waving her hand. The medicinal herbs piled nearby flew into the furnace one by one. 5 years have passed. What layer of the Foundation Establishment Realm are you at now? Qiong asked. Guwen's outward cultivation level was at the 5th layer of the Qi cultivation realm, but Qiong believed he was at the Foundation Establishment Realm. Guwen replied, "Almost at the 3rd layer." "Too slow. Don't slack off in your regular cultivation. When I was your age, I established my foundation at 18 and formed my core at 40. If I hadn't spent decades studying the alchemy Tao and array formations, I would have been at the Nascent Soul Realm by now." "Have you heard of the Nascent Soul Realm?" Qiong absent-mindedly asked while staring at the pill furnace. Guwen hurriedly nodded and said, "Those in the Nascent Soul Realm are immortals, rarely seen in the outer sect." What immortals, just stronger cultivators. When I fully recover, you'll find a place to break through to the Nascent Soul Realm. By then, you'll have a Nascent Soul Realm powerhouse backing you. Are you excited? Qiong said with a gleeful tone towards the end. Her voice sounded charming, completely at odds with her horrific image. Thank you for your care, Master. Do you need any help? Guwen stepped forward and asked. Qiong replied, just watch me refine the elixir, and we can chat. She patted her hand, motioning Guwen to sit beside her. Guwen sat down, keeping his distance while maintaining his vigilance. No matter how kind Qiong was, he would not let his guard down until she left. Meng Lang's fate served as a warning. He likely never suspected Qing Xiandan until his death. Qiong inquired about his background, and Guwen gave a brief overview of his early life, omitting his connection to the Ji family, instead saying he was born a house servant who, after discovering his spirit root, joined the Supreme Sect. After a lengthy conversation of nearly an hour, Qiong finally let Guwen go, instructing him to come back for the next 3 nights, promising great rewards upon success. Guwen arrived as scheduled. The 3rd night arrived. Guwen sat opposite the pill furnace meditating, holding the yin-yang art, occasionally asking Qiong questions. Qiong, growing annoyed, couldn't help but scold, "Are you deliberately deceiving me? How could someone so young reach the Foundation Establishment realm and yet be so dull-minded?" Guwen replied, feeling wronged, "Alchemy is alchemy, and energy absorption is energy absorption." Qiong suddenly had nothing to say, then her attention was drawn to the pill furnace. Steam poured increasingly from the furnace. The vent hole turned dark green, appearing eerie. Guwen felt a chill. What elixir was she refining? It felt like a poison elixir. Qiong's eyes shone with excitement as she fell silent, focusing on the pill furnace. Time passed second by second. Guwen remained on guard, ready to fend off any sudden moves from Qiong. Who knows how much time had passed? The pill furnace emitted a muffled sound, and a grin, more horrifying than a cry, spread across Qiong's face. She raised her right hand, and with 2 fingers, the furnace lid flew off. A pill shot out, which she caught and instantly swallowed. So fast, as if afraid Guwen would snatch it. After swallowing the pill, Qiong immediately sat cross-legged to cultivate. Within 3 breaths, wisps of white steam emanated from her body. Guwen stood up and cautiously retreated, keeping his distance. The white steam increasingly surrounded Qiong, making her figure blurry, resembling a zombie shrouded in mist. Guwen continually monitored her lifespan, wary of her sudden breakthrough to the Nascent Soul Realm. Qiong's lifespan began to grow, the sight of which amazed Guwen for it to be represented in numbers. He suddenly became very interested in Qiong's elixirs. What miraculous elixir was this? Qiong wasn't just increasing her lifespan. Her aura was rapidly rising, soon surpassing that of the Foundation Establishment realm. A true core formation realm cultivator. Guwen keenly observed Qiong's body recovering, her physique growing denser like a balloon inflating. Impressive. He patiently waited. Soon, the cave echoed with Qiong's increasingly heavy breathing, resembling the roars of a wild beast towards the end. After a long while, Qiong's breathing suddenly stopped. Guwen realized she had not broken through to the Nascent Soul Realm and thus felt less tense. From within the white mist, Qiong stretched, her graceful figure emerging, starkly different from before. She walked out of the mist, still with disheveled hair and wearing tattered clothes, but the pale skin beneath her rags made Guwen's face flush in the dim cave, causing him to avert his gaze. "It's been so long since I walked like this," Qiong said nostalgically, striding up to Guwen, leaning forward, brushing her hair aside with both hands. "Well, good grand disciple, is your master beautiful?" Guwen stole a glance and, despite her dirty face, saw her features were indeed those of a rare beauty, comparable only to the 3rd miss of the Ji family, Ji Xiaoyu, and the outer disciple, Li Xuanyu. "Master is indeed one of the most beautiful in the world, but I am more concerned about your health. Have your injuries healed?" Guwen asked with genuine concern as he cupped his hands. If she recovered, she should hurry and leave. Recovery will take more time, I still need to rest for another 5 years. Qiong smiled, her bright eyes studying Guwen thoughtfully. Suddenly, she struck at Guwen with a palm, swift as lightning, stopping just short of his chest, the force of the wind pulling his robe backward. Qiong asked with a faint smile, "Why didn't you dodge?" Guwen's face stiffened as he replied, "I couldn't react in time." In truth, it was not so. To him, Qiong's actions were too slow. In that instant, his dragon strength could have repelled her spiritual power. She had not spared Guwen's life but rather saved herself. Qiong couldn't help but laugh, her laughter as captivating as flowers in bloom, even clutching her stomach in the end. Guwen watched her laugh without interrupting. After a while, Qiong turned back to the pill furnace and said, "Don't worry, I won't kill my own disciples and granddisciples. When Cheng Xiandan tried to betray me, I spared his life and even used his protection to hide within the Supreme Sect. As long as you are devoted to me, I will never forsake you. If anyone bullies you, I won't stand by." Guwen couldn't help but laugh at her words. Qiong stood before the pill furnace, turning to Guwen, "Leave a set of new clothes. You may go now. Come back tomorrow night and I will teach you some spells." Guwen immediately took a set of his own white robes from his storage bag, gently placing them on the ground, then bowed to Qiong and took his leave. Once he disappeared into the darkness, Qiong turned around. Approaching the white robes, she raised her hand and telekinetically picked them up, inhaling their scent with a chuckle. At dawn, Guwen was leading the people of Medicine Valley in exercises. Someone approached the entrance of the valley. It was Liye. Liye was still dressed in black. Compared to 5 years ago, he exuded an overwhelming aura of strength. His arrival instantly grabbed everyone's attention. "It's senior brother Liye." Xiaochuan exclaimed in delight. Guwen immediately walked toward Liye, instructing everyone to continue with their exercises. He reached Liye and was about to speak when Liye cut in first, "Let's talk upstairs." Something urgent? Guwen instantly grew tense. What matter required Liye to come personally? He led Liye to the pavilion, ascending the stairs and entering the room before closing the door. Liye walked to the table. With a wave of his hand, a green vine fruit appeared on it, leaving Guwen astonished. 4 years ago, the Elixir Hall in the Outer Sect acquired a green vine fruit. I bought it, but due to heavy tasks, didn't get a chance to give it to you. Liye smiled. Guwen's expression turned strange. Liye asked, "What's the matter?" Feeling that he couldn't hide it, Guwen cleared his throat and said, "I was the one who sold that fruit to the Elixir Hall." To avoid suspicion, he had sold it at a low price, earning praise from the Elixir Hall elder for his gratitude towards the sect. Guwen, emboldened by Liye's assurance that green vine fruits were not rare in the Supreme Sect, had sold it. The Outer Sect had none, but the Inner Sect had plenty, and the Inner Sect possessed many miraculous treasures. Unexpectedly, Liye had bought it back. Liye sighed and said, "This is quite a mess. This fruit can boost chi blood, a precious natural treasure. How could you sell it? For how many spirit stones?" 20 mid-grade spirit stones. What? I paid 10 top-grade spirit stones. Liye's eyes widened. 1 top-grade spirit stone was equivalent to 100 mid-grade spirit stones. The two fell into silence simultaneously. In truth, Guwen felt it wasn't a loss. Using the green vine fruit, he had forged a good friendship with Zhu Qinglu at the Elixir Hall, who had provided him many conveniences over the past 4 years. But facing Liye, he felt a bit embarrassed. Liye finally said, "Forget it, consider it our contribution to the sect. Besides this fruit, I have another matter to discuss with you." Chapter 26, Outer Sect Assembly. "What's the matter?" Guwen asked, praying in his heart that it was not something troublesome. He didn't want to get involved in the conflicts of the Outer Sect. Liye smiled. "Don't you like planting? I remember you mentioned before that you helped an outer disciple manage his cave. Now, there's just such an opportunity. The treatment is good, Helping for a year can earn you a mid-grade spirit stone and a bottle of spirit energy elixir. When Guan heard this, he realized what it was about and breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he could earn longevity, he wouldn't refuse. After all, he didn't practice much daily and had plenty of time. He began to inquire about the employer's identity. Liye didn't hide anything either. That outer disciple was Liya's friend, and his cave was near the outer gate city. After Guan agreed, Liye immediately took him there. Liye flew using sword control, and Guan stood behind him, sharing the same sword. Their figures made Xiaochuan Yilan and others look on with longing. Flying using sword control, who wouldn't long for it? The tall Tangyu sighed. If only Master could learn sword control technique from martial Uncle Liya and then teach us, wouldn't that be great? Beside him, the slender and handsome Su Han nodded. Although he had been in Medicine Valley for 4 years, he still longed for the outer sect in his heart. Not only him, but Tang Yu and Jin Qin also felt the same. Yi Lan, however, said nothing more and pulled Jin Qin back to their courtyard for practice. On the other side, in the mountains, Liye flew very fast. His gaze was fixed forward, his black robe fluttering, and his hair flying messily, exuding a free and uninhibited aura. I noticed that there are more servant disciples in Medicine Valley than before. Junior Brother Gu, try to recruit fewer disciples and invest more spirit stones in your cultivation, Liye said earnestly. Although Guan always said his talent was lacking, he still saw hope. He didn't want a century to pass and still be in his prime while Guan had already entered his sunset years. Over the years in the Supreme Sect, Liye had a few good friends and some with shared interests, but none compared to Junior Brother Gu in his heart. Junior Brother Gu was the only one who treated him well without seeking anything in return, a friendship he didn't want to lose. Guan smiled. Senior Brother Li, don't worry. The reason I'm recruiting more disciples is that the garden land in Medicine Valley has increased. The medicinal herbs I turn in every year are likewise increasing, and the elixir hall is gradually improving my treatment. I won't give up on cultivation. When Liye heard this, a smile appeared on his face. That's true. You are diligent and hardworking. You will surely achieve something. I can't compare to Senior Brother. Your reputation in the outer sect is so prominent. The two began to praise each other. Liye usually disliked such flattery, but somehow, he was inexplicably happy when it came from Junior Brother Gu. 2 ancient hours later, Liye delivered Guan back to Mystic Valley and then flew away using sword control. As soon as Guan landed, he was surrounded by 2 disciples, Su Han and Jin Qin. They were curious about where Guan had been. Guan didn't hide it. After saying a few words, he sent them away. Lu Jujia's departure greatly stimulated the disciples in Medicine Valley, making it much quieter. Whenever they had free time, they would cultivate in their respective houses, wanting to catch up to Lu Jujia as soon as possible. Guan returned to his room and picked up the Yin Yang art to start reading. Tonight, Qiong would begin teaching him spells, and he was quite looking forward to it. What cultivator would mind having more spells? Moreover, Guan lacked many basic spells. Late at night, 8 scenic caves. Under the green vine tree, Qiong, dressed in white, let her black hair drape freely like a fairy descended to the mortal world. At this moment, her beautiful face was full of annoyance. Why are you so stupid? I've told you the breathing technique several times. Why can't you remember it? Qiong scolded, trying to suppress her anger. She stood beside Guan, her eyes fixed on the black qi in his hand. She was teaching him the soul-capturing skill, a technique that could capture souls and was extremely sinister. Guan said helplessly, Martial Master, how long have you been teaching me? Can't you have some patience? No, it's just, Qiong suddenly didn't know what to say. Before recovering her body, she had looked forward to teaching Guan as she viewed him as a genius, but the result differed from her expectations. This kid was too strange. Teach him the sword control technique, and he would understand it instantly. But teaching him anything else was like showing it to a novice in the way of immortal cultivation. In terms of sword Dao, Guan was absolutely the most talented she had ever seen. But the problem was she wasn't proficient in sword Dao. If I were to master everything easily, Would I end up as a servant disciple? Guwen sighed. Qiong held back for a long time and finally said, "You don't have to be so stupid, do you?" Guwen's hand trembled. Truly worthy of someone from the demon path, her words were so damning. Guwen's temper flared. "I have my strengths too. In terms of sword Dao talent, even you may not match me, martial master." Qiong, hearing this, suddenly felt amused and asked with a smile, "Then shall we try? We won't use spiritual power, but only test our sword moves?" "All right." Guwen let go of his hands, and the black qi dissipated. He then stood up, ready to teach Qiong a lesson. Qiong moved 2 steps to the side, raised her right hand, and extended her index and middle fingers together, smiling. "Since we're sparring, let's not hurt each other. We'll use fingers as swords." Guwen nodded, placing his left hand behind his waist and his right hand in front. Qiong squinted. For some reason, when Guwen raised his hand, she felt inexplicably nervous. "What's wrong with me? How can a foundation establishment disciple scare me?" Qiong cursed herself inwardly for losing the arrogance she once had. Immediately, she raised her fingers and thrust towards Guwen, using core formation speed. Guwen parried her fingers with his own, like flicking a sword, pushing her arm aside. Qiong's eyes narrowed, her steps shifting like a phantom past Guwen's side, and her fingers, like swords, pointed at his ribs. Guwen turned, his fingers pointing downward, stabbing and hitting her hand back, causing her to feel a sting and withdraw instinctively. Under the tree, they moved around, countering each other's moves. Qiong's attacks were fierce, while Guwen's movements flowed smoothly. After 30 moves, Guwen noticed Qiong getting anxious, so he revealed a flaw, allowing her to strike him in the abdomen. He then clutched his stomach and staggered back. Qiong didn't press the attack. She stood up, her eyes intensely staring at Guwen. Guwen pretended to be in pain, but her gaze terrified him. What kind of look was that? It felt as if she wanted to eat him whole. Qiong took a deep breath and said, Good. I've still underestimated your sword Dao comprehension. Your moves just now, though lacking form, were simple and direct, targeting your opponent's flaws. You are a sword Dao genius rare in 100 years. If you had a good mentor, you could surely become famous as a sword cultivator in the future." Guwen shook his head. "Being famous is out of the question. If that happens, many people will come looking for trouble. I hate fighting, let alone killing." Qiong was stunned, finding it very amusing. It was the first time she had met such a cowardly genius. "It's my fault for being impatient and scolding you. Come, let's continue practicing the soul-capturing skill. Even though you're suited for sword Dao, some spells are essential to have, just in case." Qiong beckoned. Guwen immediately moved closer to continue practicing the soul-capturing skill. After some sparring, Qiong's attitude improved greatly, speaking kindly and occasionally giving him goosebumps. Thus, Guwen visited the 8 scenic caves every night to practice spells with Qiong. Once he mastered a spell to the point of appearing on his attribute panel, he would start practicing the next spell. Qiong thought he was discouraged, so she didn't press him. After all, she had many spells to teach. While healing, she found it quite enjoyable to mentor a junior. Besides, Guwen went to the cave of the outer disciple once a month to look after the medicinal herbs. At the end of the year, with snowflakes flying, covering the sky and blocking the sun, Guwen, wearing a bamboo hat, climbed the mountainside and arrived at a cave. Just as he was about to take out his token, he sensed something. There were people inside. Not just one person. Guwen immediately wanted to leave, but the voices inside the cave stopped abruptly. If he left now, it would prove he could penetrate the restriction and detect what was happening inside the cave. He could only press the token on the mountain gate, causing the gate to open. He stepped into the cave, walked through the path, and reached the cave chamber. When he saw 3 people inside, he was stunned and quickly bowed. "Sorry, I didn't know the seniors had returned. Leave at once." With that, he turned to leave. The cave's owner, Qinli, appeared to be in his early 40s with a scholarly and elegant demeanor. He raised his hand and said with a smile, "No need. Do what you need to do, and we'll continue our conversation." Hearing this, Guwen could only turn back, bow again, and then head towards the herb area not far away. Guwen noticed the other two people. One was a woman who was none other than Li Xuanyu, whom he had previously fought against. The other was not Qiong but another man, refined and handsome, like a nobleman from a painting. Even a man would be amazed at his appearance. Li Xuanyu recognized Guwen but didn't speak. Guwen secretly scanned the handsome man's lifespan. Xiao Chenjun, Core Formation Realm, First Layer 58/621/1508, Core Formation Realm, First Layer. An Inner Sect Disciple? Chen Li noticed Guwen starting to pick herbs and turned to look at Li Xuanyu and Xiao Chenjun with a sigh. The Outer Sect Grand Tournament is about to start, and this time it's hosted by the Supreme Sect. Our pressure has increased. Xiao Chenjun smiled. What's there to fear? The Outer Sect has many talents. Even if sects and factions join forces, it's hard to surpass the Supreme Sect. In the Taicang dynasty, the Supreme Sect is the strongest. Chen Li shook his head. I heard the Ancient Sky Sect, Heavenly Extinction Sect, and Thousand Autumn Pavilion each have dual spirit roots geniuses in the Outer Sect, deliberately holding back their realms, waiting for this grand tournament. He paused and looked at Xiao Chenjun thoughtfully. Junior brother Xiao, why didn't you wait a bit before breaking through? Your master should have known. Xiao Chenjun laughed. Senior brother Chen, the Outer Sect Grand Tournament happens twice within a century. As cultivators, how can we be so mindful of winning or losing? Moreover, the Supreme Sect produces talents every year. Don't worry, the burden will not be solely on you. The three chatted and laughed about the Outer Sect Grand Tournament. Most of the conversation was between Xiao Chenjun and Chen Li, with Li Xuanyu occasionally joining in. Chapter 27 Wanyin Sect, Su Ruye. The competition of the Outer Sect in the world? The geniuses of the major sects gathering at the Supreme Sect? Including disciples from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion? Guwen listened with great interest. Such a grand event must be very exciting. However, he was a bit worried whether the cultivators from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion would take the opportunity to find him and force him to provide information on the Supreme Sect. Chen Li and the others started talking about other matters, with the topic gradually shifting to the Inner Sect. Chen Li was very interested in the Inner Sect and curious about what it was like. Xiao Chenjun gave a brief explanation about the bustling Inner Sect city, the profound heritage of the peak's inheritances, and the rich array of missions and rewards. Guwen seemed to be listening to a story. However, Guwen still wasn't yearning for it. Inner Sect disciples also had to defend the Taicang dynasty, not only to slay demons within the country but also to help the dynasty fend off invasions from other dynasties. Just thinking about it gave him a headache. When Guwen was done and had harvested the lifespan of several hundred years, he came to Chen Li, ready to bid farewell. You are quite meticulous in your work. Could you also help me watch over the grotto heaven? Li Xuanyu suddenly asked. Hearing this, Chen Li immediately smiled and said, This lad's work is indeed satisfactory and he is very disciplined. He was recommended by Liye, so he is trustworthy. Li Xuanyu stared at Guwen, waiting for his response. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Guwen couldn't refuse and nodded in agreement. You two continue your conversation. It'll take him to get familiar with the area, Li Xuanyu said, then got up and left. Guwen quickly bowed to Chen Li and Xiao Chenjun and then followed the pace of Li Xuanyu. After the Grotto Heaven's mountain gate closed, Xiao Chenjun asked with a smile, The enmity within the Li family is really complicated. Do you think junior sister Li and Liye bear any grudges against each other? Chen Li shook his head and said, How could there be grudges? If there were, she wouldn't have spoken up for Liye back then. Liye would have been killed by Qiong long ago. Now that Qiong has been missing for years, I suspect he was killed by Liye. Xiao Chenjun lifted his teacup, his gaze becoming subtle. After leaving the Grotto Heaven, Guwen followed Li Xuanyu. They rode the same flying sword but kept a proper distance from each other. Standing behind Li Xuanyu, Guwen could smell a unique fragrance, much better than the scent on Jiang Qiong. Although Jiang Qiong had already washed, the odor of death hadn't completely dissipated yet. They traveled in silence, as Li Zuanya's cold temperament made Guan hesitate to speak. Her grotto heaven wasn't too far from Qinli's. They landed after a short while. Guan distinctly felt that the restriction in her grotto heaven was stronger, and this feeling became even more intense upon entry. Such dense spiritual energy. Li Xuanyu began to explain the origins and cultivation process of the medicinal herbs within the grotto heaven, and Guan listened attentively. After half an hour, Li Xuanyu handed him a token. With this token he could directly open the grotto heaven, offering him the same treatment as Chunli. For Guan, harvesting the lifespan from medicinal herbs was enough. If he could get spirit stones, he wouldn't refuse them either. Guan cupped his hands to salute and took his leave. Wait, what is your relationship with Li Ya? Li Xuanyu suddenly asked. Guan paused, turned back, and said, Li Ya is my senior brother. Naturally, we have a good relationship. He could tell that Li Xuanyu probably had a good relationship with Li Ya. If there were enmities, she wouldn't use him, a servant disciple, to frame Li Ya, would she? Li Xuanyu didn't say much, only nodded slightly. Guan bid farewell once again. Managing the grotto heaven for an outer disciple wasn't exhausting. Generally, he had to visit once every half-month or month. Guan felt he could take on more work. His aspirations were growing richer. The 8 scenic caves in Mystic Valley were the main trunk of it. If branches could be extended, he could gain more lifespan. Strive to reach a lifespan of 100,000 years as soon as possible. Winter's snow melted, and spring arrived. At dusk, Mystic Valley started to hang lanterns and put up decorations. In front of the pavilion, the youngest disciple, Zhen Qin, squatted on the ground, cutting paper and quietly asking, Master, what is the significance of the Spring Festival? She was 9 years younger than Guan, with a sweet appearance, large eyes, a petite figure, and a gentle personality. Even Lu Jiojia and Xiaochuan were very fond of her. When I was a child, I heard an old man say that the Spring Festival represents the start of a new year, bidding farewell to the old and welcoming the new. At this time of year, people bless each other. Since we have no major celebrations in Medicine Valley, let's set the Spring Festival as a celebration, Guan said, sitting nearby, weaving a lantern. Not far away, Wuxin, Xiaochuan, and Tang Yu were hanging lanterns and pasting red paper. Yi Lan was preparing the dishes, while Su Han was checking various garden areas. After hearing this, Zhen Qin's face lit up with anticipation. Guan had suddenly thought of the Spring Festival a few days ago. Upon hearing the members of Medicine Valley discuss their hometowns, he remembered his past life on Earth. It was precisely the Spring Festival season, so he decided to establish the Spring Festival as the first holiday in Mystic Valley. In the future, other holidays could be arranged to make life in Medicine Valley less monotonous. He wondered if there were other Earthlings in this mortal world. Guan silently thought to himself. He created the story of the Spring Festival from what he had heard from an old man simply as a precaution. At this moment, Guan's brows furrowed. He sensed 2 unpleasant auras approaching Mystic Valley, less than 10 miles away. Those 2 had cultivation levels in the Foundation Establishment realm, but their auras carried a strong scent of blood. They had killed many people. With the competition of the outer sect in the world about to start, could it be that demon cultivators were here for a visit? Guan silently prayed, hoping the visitors wouldn't enter Medicine Valley. However, what he feared came true as the 2 flew straight towards Mystic Valley. In no time, their figures appeared at the mountain peak, overlooking Medicine Valley. It was a man and a woman, both dressed in dark purple robes, with a sinister aura. Even in the daytime, they looked like malevolent ghosts. The woman's posture was seductive, with heavy makeup and long, claw-like nails. She covered her mouth and laughed. Mr. Su, we're not far from the outer sect of the Supreme Sect. Why not rest here for a while and gather some intel from these servant disciples? The man next to her had a robust build and a stern face, wearing a purple crown with a red gem embedded in it, resembling a crimson vertical eye. A bunch of energy cultivation realm bugs, what can we learn from their mouths? the man in purple said coldly. He was from the Wanyin sect, named Su Ruye, here with his Taoist friend Qiong to participate in the competition of the outer sect in the world. Qiong laughed. You know the people from the Supreme Sect. Their strength isn't great, yet they love to gang up on others. If we arrive early, we will surely be swarmed with trouble. It's better to wait here. Su Ruye agreed after hearing this. He then leaped down and Qiong followed suit. Guan looked up and immediately used the lifespan detection. Su Ruye, Foundation Establishment Realm 9 Layers 67/389/920, Qiong, Foundation Establishment Realm 7th Layer 74/370/605. They seem to be geniuses. Guan stood up and Zhenqin, following his gaze, saw Su Ruye and Qiong and hurriedly hid behind her master in fear. Even Xiaochuan, Wuxin, and Tang Yu noticed the arrival of the demon cultivators. They immediately put down their work and ran towards Guan. Su Ruye and Qiong landed in the garden area, their eyes scanning the medicinal herbs, which made Guan tense up. The security of the Supreme Sect was too lax. On the eve of such a grand event, they didn't dispatch disciples to patrol? Guan silently cursed, but he also understood that, to the Supreme Sect, the value of Mystic Valley was mediocre, as it grew only low-rank medical herbs for the outer sect. Qiong turned to Guan and the others, asking, "Who is the Valley Master here?" Guan stepped forward and cupped his hands. "That would be me. May I ask what the two seniors need?" Qiong cast a coquettish look at Guan and asked with a smile, "Young lad, my husband and I are going to the competition at the Supreme Sect and want to rest in your valley for a few days. What do you think?" Su Ruye's gaze turned towards Yi Lan and Zhenqin behind Guan, his chilly eyes making the two women uneasy. Yi Lan frowned and stood in front of Zhenqin. Guan felt displeased but sensed a familiar aura approaching. He asked, "May I ask where the two seniors are from?" Qiong's eyes turned cold, ready to speak. Why waste words with him? With his cultivation at the 5th layer of the energy cultivation realm, can he drive us away? Su Ruye said impatiently. A terrifying killing intent erupted from within him, changing the expressions of everyone present, as if they were in an ice cellar. Are the two from the Wanyin sect here to become enemies of the Supreme Sect? A cold voice came from the sky. Everyone looked up to see Li Xuanyu standing on a flying sword, facing the wind like an immortal. Li Xuanyu. Qiong gritted out every word, her teeth clenched. Li Xuanyu spoke, "Come with me." With that, she turned and quickly disappeared behind the mountain. Su Ruye leaped up. A gourd at his waist flew out, quickly enlarged and landed beneath his feet. Qiong followed suit, jumping onto the gourd behind him. The two then flew away on the gourd. The people in Medicine Valley breathed a sigh of relief. Were those two demon cultivators? Su Han couldn't help but ask, his face pale from Su Ruye's killing intent. Wuxin replied, "Yes, the Wanyin sect is a powerful demonic school." Xiaochuan grumbled, "Aren't we, the Supreme Sect, a reputable sect? Why invite a demonic sect?" The disciples began discussing the matter, all overwhelmed with fear. If not for Li Zuanya's appearance, a disaster would have befallen them tonight. Guan glanced towards the horizon, slightly frowning. Then, he asked everyone to continue preparing for the spring festival and went back to his house to rest for a while. Dusk came, and the sky turned crimson. Guan stood by the side window of the pavilion, feeling faint fighting movements from afar, about 30 miles from Mystic Valley. Suddenly, sensing something, he flipped over the window and quickly vanished into the forest. In the distant forest, trees were tilted and the ground was full of horrifying cracks. Su Ruye and Qiong stood shoulder to shoulder, with disdainful smiles on their faces. Opposite them stood not only Li Xuanyu but also Li Ya. "The 9 devastating swords of the Li family are impressive, but your cultivation levels are lacking." Su Ruye sneered coldly, his right hand's fingers moving, with strands of purple energy swirling around his fingertips. Li Ya's mouth corners were stained with blood, and his right hand holding the sword was trembling. Li Xuanyu beside him was also injured, though not as severely as Li Ya. Chapter 28 Flying Leaves to Annihilate the Enemy, Such Overbearing Sword Qi. Ji ignored Liya, her gaze fixed on Li Xuanyu. She smiled seductively and said, Li Xuanyu, aren't you a girl of heavenly pride? How come you're so miserable? It seems that you and your brother from the Li family are no match for us. Su Ruye took a step towards Liya. Li Xuanyu suddenly threw her sword, and as the blade flew, it split into 4 sword shadows, all aimed at Su Ruye. Su Ruye reacted extremely quickly. With a wave of his right hand, the purple qi in his hand exploded like flames, forcibly blocking Li Xuanyu's sword. Ji, like a ghost, appeared behind Li Xuanyu with a red fan in her hand. She fanned it forcefully, and a rolling red poisonous mist surged forth, forcing Li Xuanyu to dodge. The red poisonous mist quickly spread through the mountains and forests. A giant python could be vaguely seen moving swiftly in the mist. Wherever it passed, the red mist rose and quickly surrounded Liya and Li Xuanyu. Li Xuanyu landed beside Liya, her eyes scanning the surroundings. Ji's figure was no longer visible, while Su Ruye hovered above the forest, looking down at them. How dare you harbor murderous intent in the Supreme Sect's territory? Liya asked in a deep voice. Su Ruye's lips curled up in a mocking smile. He said sarcastically, I've long heard that the Supreme Sect's land is vast. Since the current sect leader took office, the Supreme Sect's control over the border has weakened, seemingly allowing the disciples to resolve conflicts themselves. The 8 outer gate cities are like a wall. Inside the wall is a reputable sect, but outside, it's survival of the fittest, no different from the demon path. We've been fighting for so long, and no one has come to help. It seems the Supreme Sect hasn't stationed anyone beyond the outer gate. Today, it'll kill you and take your sister. I won't even bother participating in the World Outer Gate Conference. What do you think? It'll also kill the people in the Medicine Valley. If Princess Li came to protect you personally, your relationship must be significant. Su Ruye seemed to think of something and licked his lips. Buy me some time, Li Xuanyu said softly as she sat down cross-legged and quickly began to cast magic. A golden flame appeared faintly on her forehead. Li Ya's gaze hardened, and he suddenly squatted down and leaped up. His long sword pointed skyward, and sword qi surged, shaking the surrounding forest. The red mist rolled up, creating a grand scene under the twilight. Su Ruye sneered. He quickly took a large purple flag from his storage bag. The flag had a menacing evil ghost embroidered on it, seemingly ready to leap out. He slammed his left palm down, causing a massive shadowy hand to descend, forcibly suppressing Li Ya's sword qi. Li Ya frowned. His spiritual power was far inferior to Su Ruye's and could not compete. Under his watch, the purple flag in Su Ruye's hand erupted into a purple whirlwind, causing him to feel dizzy. Not good. Li Ya's face changed dramatically as a strong sense of dizziness overcame him. The most terrifying part was that his body seemed unable to fall. He wants to capture your soul, he's truly bold. The voice of the martial master echoed in Li Ya's mind, filled with shock and anger. Liya was even more panicked after hearing this. Let me taste the soul of the Taicang imperial lineage. Su Ruye laughed sinisterly, his eyes full of greed. Whoosh, a sharp, piercing sound came from afar, causing Liya, who was stuck in midair, to subconsciously look. Even Li Xuanyu, who was meditating, couldn't help but glance up. A leaf, carrying fierce sword qi, streaked across the sky, aiming straight at Su Ruye. Instinctively, Su Ruye glanced at it, but the leaf was too fast for him to react. Bang! His head exploded instantly, and a blood mist enveloped the forest. The red mist dissipated as a strong wind swept it away, and Liya was thrown to the ground. Li Xuanyu used her spiritual power to resist the wind, but was still forced to get up quickly. Mr. Su! In the roaring wind, Ji screamed. She was about to leap up when another whistling sound approached. She turned her head to see the terrifying wind pushing the red poisonous mist over her. Her robe was pulled back, outlining her perfect curves. In her pupils, there was the reflection of a leaf. Bang! The leaf pierced her head, and blood sprayed everywhere, splattering the forest. The leaf continued its furious trajectory, cutting down trees and raising a cloud of dust before finally embedding itself into a large tree's trunk. Su Rui's body fell to the ground, followed by Chan Jie's corpse. Soon, all that remained in the forest was the sound of the wind. Liye propped himself up, sitting on the ground, his black hair disheveled, staring in shock. Not far away, Li Xuanyu was equally terrified, looking dazedly at the corpses of Su Rui and Chan Ji. To kill an enemy with a flying leaf, such domineering sword chi, this person must be at least at the Nascent Soul Realm, and his sword Dao accomplishment is extremely high. The voice of the martial master echoed in Li Ya's mind. Liye was jolted awake. He quickly stood up and cupped his fists, shouting, "Which senior intervened to help us?" Li Xuanyu heard him and followed suit, looking around. But, unfortunately, no one responded. "Boy, check over there." The martial master's voice urged Liye to walk in a certain direction. Liye immediately walked over, trembling. His injuries and the soul capturing made him very uncomfortable. Li Xuanyu went to check the corpses of Su Rui and Chan Ji. She stabbed them twice, using sword chi to shred their hearts. Liye walked for 200 zhang before stopping in front of a tree. His gaze fell on the trunk, and his face changed dramatically. "How is this possible?" Liye muttered in a trembling voice. Following his gaze, a leaf was embedded in the tree trunk, surrounded by a wisp of sword chi. The tree trunk had already cracked, as if it could explode at any moment. This person attacked from 10 miles away. I could only sense the direction, not his presence. The martial master's voice was filled with admiration, followed by a sigh of amazement. It seems the Supreme Sect isn't so weak after all. A great cultivator is watching over the outside. Liye stared at the leaf, trying to calm himself down. At this moment, Li Xuanyu approached from behind. When she saw the leaf clearly, she was equally stunned. As night fell, at Mystic Valley, Valley Master's Pavilion was brightly lit and decorated. Guan and his disciples sat around a large round table, exchanging cups and chatting happily. Xiaochuan and Tang Yu were engaged in a drinking contest. Xiaochuan, this martial uncle, was already red-faced, but he refused to admit defeat, continuing to drink despite others' advice. Their wine was not ordinary wine but spiritual wine that Guan had specifically bought from the outer sect. A jar was worth 2 low-grade spirit stones, equivalent to 2 months' salary for a servant disciple. "We encountered 2 demon cultivators today. Do you think more demon cultivators will come?" Su Han suddenly asked. His words instantly dampened the atmosphere at the dining table. Their smiles disappeared, and they all began to worry. Guan comforted them with a smile. "Don't worry. There are outer disciples patrolling. Didn't you see them today? Perhaps after this incident, the patrols will increase." He was not worried because he was immersed in joy. After killing Su Rui and Chan Ji, he had successfully obtained 112 years of lifespan. He was summarizing the rules of obtaining lifespan. He could only judge that the years obtained depended on the remaining lifespan of the target, ranging from 10 to 20%, with no fixed amount, making it rather random. Although killing cultivators yielded higher lifespans, Guan was not looking forward to more such incidents. Killing too many enemies would eventually lead to trouble. It was safer to accumulate lifespans through medicinal herbs, as he currently did. There were always people stronger than you. Even if Guan could quickly become stronger by killing enemies, if he encountered an overwhelmingly stronger opponent, he would still die. He couldn't determine the highest cultivation level in the mortal world. But he felt that if he could survive for 1,000 or 10,000 years, he might become invincible in the mortal world. Hearing Guan's words, everyone found them reasonable, and the atmosphere lightened again. Guan didn't dwell on his own matters. He started chatting with his junior brothers and sisters, asking about their future cultivation goals. The atmosphere continued to rise, and eventually, he too started drinking. The first spring festival in Mystic Valley was considered a success. Everyone dispersed late into the night. Guan then went to the 8 scenic caves. Qiong was sitting under the green vine tree, cultivating energy. Demonic qi surrounded her, making her look terrifying. Guwen brought a meal to her and said, "Martial Master, today is the spring festival of Mystic Valley. This is a meal that my junior sister made. Would you like to try it? I wish you a speedy recovery of your power." Upon hearing this, Qiong opened her eyes and asked in confusion, "Spring festival? What festival is that?" Guwen gave the explanation he had prepared. Whoever asked, he would reply that he heard it from an old man. Setting a festival is indeed a good idea. It can unite people's hearts. Qiong nodded in approval, then looked at the food basket in Guwen's hand. Guwen immediately set down the basket and took out the dishes one by one, along with a small jar of wine. Seeing this, Qiong's eyes lit up. She mused, "Since it's your kind gesture, I can't not eat it." She picked up a bowl of food and began to eat voraciously. Guwen quickly poured her wine and curiously asked, "Martial Master, I have always been puzzled by something." "Speak," Qiong mumbled as she drank the wine in one gulp, her mouth covered in liquid, unsure if it was oil or wine. "Why did the Thousand Autumn Pavilion insert spies outside the outer sect? It seems Mystic Valley can't gather any information." Guwen asked. Qiong rolled her eyes at him and said irritably, "Who told you to gather information? Your role is to wait patiently. Once the green vine tree fully matures, this place will become a stronghold for the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. Other people handle intelligence gathering." Hearing this, Guwen became even more uneasy. "What? A stronghold?" Guwen frowned and asked, "Is Mystic Valley the only possible stronghold?" "Of course not. Besides Mystic Valley, at least 5 other Medicine Valley Masters are spies for the Thousand Autumn Pavilion. They just don't know each other's identities. 100 years ago, a spy from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion even became a true disciple. By now, they are probably at elder level." Qiong answered casually. Guwen fell silent. Had the Supreme Sect become so riddled with spies? Qiong put down the empty plate, picked up a large chicken leg and smiled. "The taste is not bad. Although I have long since started fasting, indulging occasionally is nice. As a reward, I'll teach you the secret technique of the Thousand Autumn Pavilion later." Chapter 29 Demon Shadow Divine Skill, Qiong's Appreciation. "What secret technique?" Guwen asked expectantly. He had already learned many spells from Qiong, but as the saying goes, the more the better. When Qiong left, it would be difficult to find such a dedicated martial master again. Qiong took a bite of a chicken leg and said proudly, "One of the 9 great secret techniques of our Thousand Autumn Pavilion, the Demon Shadow Divine Skill." "Demon Shadow Divine Skill?" Sounded. Guwen frowned and asked, "Is this a cultivation technique?" He didn't lack cultivation techniques. Changing techniques would mean rebuilding his spiritual power, and he didn't want to waste his lifespan. "I already said, it's a secret technique. The Demon Shadow Divine Skill will help you be a better spy. You'll understand soon enough," Qiong said indistinctly, her mouth full of chicken, almost too full to speak. Guwen's face twitched. "I don't want to be a spy for the demon path. Forget it, I'll endure Qiong for now. Later, I'll speak what suits the occasion, whatever identity I need, I'll give myself." The next day at noon, Guwen was reading under a tree. 7 steps away, Yilan and Zhenqin were practicing swordsmanship, their movements graceful. Unfortunately, they couldn't capture Guwen's attention. "Senior brother, Brother Liya is here." Xiaochuan ran over and said, followed by a man, "Li." Guwen immediately stood up and stuffed the green hero travelogue into his robe, then walked toward Liya. "Let's talk inside," Liya said first. Guwen nodded and led him upstairs. Zhenqin stopped swinging her sword and looked at Yilan, asking nervously, "Martial Uncle Yi, could Martial Uncle Liya be here because of those 2 demon cultivators from yesterday?" "Perhaps." Yilan glanced back and replied softly. Inside the house, Guwen and Liya sat facing each other. As he poured tea for Liya, Guwen asked, "What's the matter?" Liya said, "I plan to stay in Mystic Valley for half a year, is that okay?" Of course, you can stay as long as you like. Did something happen? Guwen readily agreed, taking the opportunity to inquire with concern. Liya hesitated for a moment, then decided to recount his encounter yesterday. Perhaps knowing these matters could motivate junior brother Gu to cultivate diligently under pressure. After hearing the story, Guwen's eyes widened in astonishment. Those two are dead? Won't the Wanyin sect cause trouble? Liya snorted. He attacked Li Xuanyu and me. If anyone is to blame, it's the Supreme Sect who will deal with the Wanyin sect. Besides the Supreme Sect, the court will also pressure the Wanyin sect. Li Xuanyu is my father's most beloved daughter. Guwen asked in surprise. They still dared to attack Senior Li? Su Ruye and Chan Ji are notorious villains who stop at nothing. Chan Ji had a grudge against Li Xuanyu from their time in Yeqing. When they finally saw Li Xuanyu alone, they wouldn't miss the chance. And also, Liya sneered at the end but held back. And what? Nothing. Guwen felt like hitting someone. If you're not going to say it, don't even mention, and also. Liya looked at Guwen and asked, did you see anyone else pass by Medicine Valley yesterday and today? Guwen shook his head. You didn't see them. If it weren't for that Nascent Soul Realm senior's intervention, Li Xuanyu and I would have been in grave danger. That senior's sword Dao was truly terrifying, killing enemies with a leaf. Even a Foundation Establishment Realm Cultivator at the 9th layer would be like vegetables facing him, a leaf could kill them. Liya grew excited as he recounted the battle, depicting the scene with fervor. Gu and his eyes widened, gasping occasionally as if he were listening to a mythical tale. That Nascent Soul Realm senior only tossed out 2 leaves, yet Liya used all the words he knew to describe it, extremely animated. A true sword cultivator should be like this, winning without a sword. Anything in hand can be a sword. Even I. In short, senior brother, I've found my direction. From now on, I'll focus on practicing the sword and delving into sword Dao. Liya showed a look of longing. Guwen nodded, secretly delighted. Brother, that exaggerated senior is right in front of you. Too bad your Dao level is too shallow to see through it. Guwen interrupted Liya's reverie and asked, the World Outer Sect tournament is so grand, why doesn't the sect send disciples to patrol or protect us servant disciples? In the vicinity of Mystic Valley, within a radius of 50 miles, there were at least 6 caves of outer disciples. Although most people weren't in their caves, if the sect ordered, certainly someone would come. Li Ya's smile faded. He said quietly, think about it, why would someone dare keep a demon of greed outside the outer sect? Isn't it because the sect doesn't care about servant disciples? But don't worry, it'll stay until the World Outer Sect tournament ends. Guwen was silent for a moment, then asked, aren't you participating? My cultivation level isn't enough. If I participated rashly, I would only get hurt. Such an event is certainly dominated by Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators at the 9th layer. Liya shook his head. Guwen raised his opinion of him. He was quite self-aware. Of course, it could also be that Su Ruye had hit him too hard. They chatted for a while before going downstairs. Guwen had Xiaochuan and Tang Yu help clear out a courtyard for Liya to live in alone. Knowing Liya would stay for half a year, everyone in the valley was happy. Firstly, they had someone to protect them, and secondly, they could practice swordsmanship with Liya. In their eyes, Guwen was good at everything, except that he knew few spells and couldn't guide them. Liya was different. He was a genuine Foundation Establishment Realm cultivator. In the following days, many cultivators often flew over Mystic Valley with their swords. Guwen also saw various flying artifacts and demon beast mounts, which made him reflect. This is the immortal cultivation world. A month later, in the deep night, Qiong leaned against a green vine tree, swinging her right leg. Her white, tender calf was exposed under her robe, practically glowing. She was holding a book and glanced at Guwen in the distance, who was picking medicinal herbs. She suddenly flipped up, the book flying into the pendant around her neck. She stretched lazily, extending her body. Dear disciple, stop for now and practice the demon shadow divine skill. Qiong called. She leaped and landed in front of the pill furnace, which was brewing elixirs. Wisps of white smoke rose from the lid. Guwen didn't turn his head and said, "It's no problem, I'll finish quickly." Qiong shook her head, laughing silently, thinking, "This kid is really diligent. It's commendable. I should make him some elixirs." Half an hour later, Guwen brought the picked medicinal herbs to Qiong. He sorted the herbs by category on the ground, meticulously, earning Qiong's satisfaction. "This child is really impeccable." Guwen's harvest of over 1,300 years of lifespan put him in a good mood. Such opportunities were hard to come by. "Continue practicing. Ask me if you don't understand anything." Qiong stared at the pill furnace and said softly. Guwen nodded and started practicing the Demon Shadow Divine skill. He had been practicing this skill for a month, but it had not appeared on his attribute panel, which annoyed him greatly. He was determined to master it now. The 8 scenic caves fell into silence as Guwen and Qiong sat near the pill furnace, the pill smoke shrouding their figures. 4 more days passed, and the Demon Shadow Divine skill finally appeared on Guwen's attribute panel. Looking at his attribute panel, he smiled with satisfaction. Name, Guwen, lifespan, 27/12268, Spirit root, first class 5-element spirit root, wood and earth attributes are more prominent. Cultivation level, Nascent Soul Realm 8th layer. Cultivation techniques, fire control art, unmastered. Divine wood pure yang skill, mastery. Dragon strength divine primordial skill, mastery. Alchemy, initial insight. Myriad poison mystic skill, unmastered. Yin yang art, unmastered. Ultimate skills, Gale shadowless leg, proficient. Taicang divine. Shocking sword, proficient. 8 direction step, unmastered. Demon shadow divine skill, unmastered. Spells, soul capturing skill, unmastered. Sword control technique, proficient. Enchanting eyes, unmastered. Poison wood array, initial insight. Wind control skill, unmastered. Corpse control skill, unmastered. As long as it appeared on the attribute panel, it meant it was genuine. In over 5 years, Qiong had taught him 8 types of cultivation techniques and spells. Very dedicated. This changed Guwen's view of her. Although she was a demon cultivator, her teaching attitude surpassed that of the righteous path. Guwen stood up, bowed to Qiong and said, "Martial master, let's stop for tonight. I want to rest." Qiong remained in a meditative position in front of the pill furnace, surrounded by demonic qi. She didn't open her eyes and said, "Go back and cultivate well. I will leave in at most 2 years." Guwen didn't reply, turning to leave. Qiong opened one eye, glanced at his back and thought, "This kid seems a bit sad." Understandable, where else will he find such a good martial master? Seeing him so lonely, he'll find someone to guide him in the Thousand Autumn Pavilion and have my father find someone to teach him Sword Dao. Guwen turned his back to her, quickly walking towards the cave entrance. He suppressed the joy in his heart, preventing himself from laughing out loud. Finally, she's leaving. Although Qiong treated him well, he preferred to enjoy the 8 scenic caves alone. Returning to the woods, Guwen didn't return to the building immediately. He headed to a distant place, preparing to find a spot to invest a year of his lifespan into his cultivation level. He felt he was close to the 9th layer of the Nascent Soul Realm, maybe within a few days. Even though he felt close, he restrained himself, investing only 1 year of lifespan each day. Traveling 20 miles away, Guwen sat under a tree, suppressing his aura to the lowest level, almost like the surrounding flowers and plants. He immediately invested a year of his lifespan into his cultivation, and spiritual energy surged towards him. The surrounding flowers and plants swayed as if cheering him on, wishing him an early breakthrough. Soon, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth calmed, indicating he had completed a year of energy absorption cultivation. Guwen stood up, ready to leave. Just as he was about to step forward, he sensed something and immediately hid behind the tree. After about 4 breaths, 2 sounds of rushing wind approached, passing above him. Guwen's eyesight was sharper than most. He caught a glimpse of the 2 figures and quickly cast lifespan detection on them. Ziwei, Core Formation Realm 9th Layer 142/490/980. Zuolin, Foundation Establishment Realm 2nd Layer 27/280/1400. Core Formation Realm 9th Layer. Guwen was silently curious about which sect these two belonged to. After they left, Guwen quietly returned to Mystic Valley. The next morning he, as usual, led the disciples in exercises while Liye greeted him, saying he was going to the outer sect. It was not until noon that Liye returned by sword, bringing someone with him. It was Zuolin, whom Guwen had detected last night. Chapter 30 Nascent Soul Realm 9 Layers. Wood Spirit Sword Technique. Junior Brother Gu, let me introduce to you, this is my childhood friend, Zuolin. He wants to discuss swordsmanship with me, so I let him stay in my courtyard, Liye said as he came to Gu. And Zuolin, dressed in yellow, had a handsome face with an undeniable arrogance between his brows. He wore a sword at his waist, and just by looking at its grade, one could tell it wasn't low. Liye introduced Guwen to Zuolin, but Zuolin only nodded at Guwen and didn't say a word. Guwen, used to such behavior, smiled and said, "Senior Brother Li, then take him to settle down." Liye nodded, his eyes revealing an apologetic look. Zuolin pulled Liye forward excitedly. Today, Ji Lin from the Ji family was truly amazing. Did you see his swordsmanship? It was exquisite. I feel he has a chance to become the final victor. Jilin? Gu and his mind conjured up a handsome and proud face. Ji Lin, like him, had joined the Supreme Sect under Ji Xiaoyu. They didn't interact much, but earlier, Di had helped Ji Lin gather medicinal herbs. Unexpectedly, Ji Lin was already making a name for himself in the Outer Sect tournament, even though he wasn't much older than Guwen. Of course, it might have to do with the resources he received. Given the Supreme Sect's treatment coupled with the Ji family's resources, it's understandable that his cultivation level advanced rapidly. Guwen walked towards the tree, all the while eavesdropping on Liye and Zuolin's conversation. The Outer Sect tournament had already begun, with talented disciples from both righteous and demonic paths gathering to compete against each other. According to Liye and Zuolin, the tournament was a one-on-one format, and those undefeated disciples were starting to make a name for themselves. Guwen didn't hear Ji Xiaoyu's name, and after a moment's thought, he realized Ji Xiaoyu didn't belong to the Outer Sect. Xiaochuan, Wuxin, and others were curious about Zuolin, gathering in small groups and discussing him. Zuolin's arrival didn't disturb the life in Mystic Valley. He looked down on the servant disciples, practicing swordsmanship with Liye in the daytime and going back to his room to cultivate afterwards. Because of their arrival, Guwen reduced his visits to the 8 Sina caves, but he still stuck to his daily plans. A month passed swiftly. Guwen finally reached the 9th layer of the Nascent Soul Realm. That night he felt lighter on his way back. When he returned to Mystic Valley, he saw someone practicing swordsmanship in Liye's courtyard. He went to his loft, and after entering the room, he stood by the window to watch. It was Zuolin practicing swordsmanship. When Zuolin first arrived, Guwen thought he was a swordsmanship genius. But after a month of observing his daily practice, Guwen realized Zuolin's talent in swordsmanship was extremely mediocre. Guwen, now having some sword Dao accomplishment himself, judged that Zuolin's talent in swordsmanship was not even as good as Su Han's. Su Han was the most talented in swordsmanship in the valley, but even he wouldn't stand out much outside the valley. Watching for a while, Guwen then closed the window. When daylight came, Guwen went downstairs to find Zuolin still standing in the courtyard, looking at the sword in his hand with a furrowed brow. Guwen greeted his junior brothers, junior sisters, and the disciples to practice their morning exercises, which caught Zuolin's attention. Actually, you don't need to force swordsmanship. Your spirit root qualification is exceptional. When your cultivation realm is higher, practicing swordsmanship might yield twice the result with half the effort, Liye said softly, approaching Zuolin. Zuolin's face darkened. No, I must become a sword cultivator. My father is the maniac swordsman of Tsanghu Lake. Liye intended to persuade him, but on second thought, he was the same, wanting to prove himself to his father. Zuolin stared intently at Guan and the others practicing their exercises. For some reason, he felt Guan's movements held a unique subtlety. Though the movements were identical to others, Gu's carried a mysterious charm. Initially, he thought it was an illusion, but the more he looked, the more certain he was that he hadn't been mistaken. Liye didn't continue to disturb Zuolin as he turned towards the woods. He needed a lot of time to cultivate. He couldn't stop thinking about his loss to Su Ruye, although he rarely mentioned it. He didn't want to lose again. After Guan finished a set of exercises, he let the valley disciples busy themselves. Nowadays, the valley's affairs no longer required his personal arrangement as Wuxin was gradually taking over the authority of the senior brother. Xiaochuan, who had a more reserved character, didn't like to command or arrange, so he let Wuxin take over. Not to mention Yilan, who had already focused fully on the outer sect assessment. With average qualifications like hers, to become an outer disciple, there was only one way: reach the 9th layer of the energy cultivation realm and then participate in the outer sect assessment. After passing, they could wait for the outer sect to distribute the foundation establishment pill. If they directly broke through to the foundation establishment realm, then the assessment wouldn't be necessary. Guan was hesitating on whether to improve his alchemy skills to help his junior sister and junior brother refine foundation establishment pills. The medicinal herbs needed for the foundation establishment pill could all be found in the valley. The difficulty lay in the alchemy process. Yilan was still some way off from the 9th layer of the energy cultivation realm, giving Guan enough time to consider this matter. As for Xiaochuan, he was even further off. Most people's qualifications wouldn't allow them to reach the 8th layer of the energy cultivation realm even with a lifetime of bitter cultivation. Guan walked towards the loft, pulling out the green hero travelogue from his chest, an expectant look on his face. He had been saving the last 5 chapters, waiting for a sunny day to savor them. Heavy rain poured down. As the green hero and his Ms-in met in a ruined temple, their love-hate relationship about to erupt completely. Just thinking about it made Guan excited. "Brother Guan." Zuolin's voice came, and Guan turned to see him approaching quickly. Standing before Guan, Zuolin appeared somewhat embarrassed. Guan, not holding a grudge for his earlier arrogance, asked with a smile, "Brother Zwe, is there something you need?" Gritting his teeth, he said, "I observed that your set of movements is very exquisite. Could you teach me?" "No problem, let's go under the tree," Guan responded. "It's our duty as children of Huaxia to promote broadcast exercises." Zuolin was taken aback, not expecting him to agree so readily, feeling ashamed as he hurriedly followed Guan. The two came to the courtyard in front of the loft, and Guan, without wasting words, began to teach him the exercises. Zuolin, quick at learning, mastered it after one demonstration from Guan. "Is this all?" Zuolin asked, frowning. Guan, puzzled, asked, "Not enough? These are all the movements. What about the mental method?" "There's no mental method." "Impossible, without a mental method, how can you?" Zuolin frowned. His words confused Guan even more, making him ask, "How can I what?" Zuolin, agitated, said, "It's just that you give me a different feeling. The same movements, but they're different from others. You must have a mental method." Guan, feeling helpless, thought, "Is this kid enlightened by the sword or gone mad?" Seeing Guan's expression, Zuolin felt even more embarrassed. Rationally, he knew a servant disciple couldn't be hiding an ultimate mental method. But his previous feeling wasn't wrong. Since childhood, he had the keenest perception of a person's qualifications and aura. His master even praised him for having an exquisite spirit heart, good at recognizing people. This servant disciple in front of him must be extraordinary. Zuolin's eyes turned. "Let's do this. I'll teach you swordsmanship, and you try it?" Guan initially wanted to refuse, but seeing how hard it was to shake him off, he could only nod. No harm learning. Seeing Guan lacked a sword, Zuolin took a long sword out of his storage bag and handed it to him, then drew his treasure sword at his waist and began demonstrating his swordsmanship. This guy really didn't know how to be considerate. Why swing the sword so fast? Guwen complained in his heart but watched very seriously. In the distance, Tang Yu and Su Han, seeing this, didn't dare to approach but watched from afar. If Master learns it, won't he be able to teach us? Su Han said with anticipation, his love for swords evident. Among all the paths of immortal cultivation, only sword cultivation captivated him the most. Tang Yu nodded. If Master learns it and we ask him, he definitely won't refuse. In their hearts, Guwen was the best master. The key issue was whether Master could learn Zuolin's swordsmanship. The answer was affirmative. Guwen had invested 2,000 years of lifespan into Li family's 7 swords, and his sword Dao accomplishment was already high. The swordsmanship demonstrated by Zuolin, though good, wasn't as advanced as the upgraded 7-sword art of the Li family, let alone comparable to the 9 devastating swords. Of course, Zuolin couldn't have taught his strongest swordsmanship right at the start. After finishing his demonstration, Zuolin turned to Guwen and asked, "How much did you memorize?" Guwen shook his head. "About 20%? I'm not sure. Your swordsmanship was so fluent, it dazzled me. I already forgot the earlier moves." Zuolin frowned, immediately asking Guwen to give it a try. So, Guwen began to perform Zuolin's swordsmanship, his movements hesitant, and his swordplay stiff, making Zuolin's frown deepen. From afar, Tang Yu and Su Han felt hopeless, thinking their master couldn't learn it. After fumbling through the moves, Zuolin, unwilling to give up, demonstrated again, this time slower. But even then, Guwen couldn't memorize all of it. After half an hour of struggle, Guwen found an excuse to slip away. An angry Zuolin found Leah, complaining that Guwen was mocking him. Upon hearing the reason, Leah couldn't help but laugh. He truly lacks swordsmanship talent and hates practicing swordsmanship. Really? Zuolin's anger subsided considerably, yet he still thought of Guwen's previous movements. He felt Guwen was hiding something. "He's my junior brother. Don't I know him?" Leah gave him a glance, warning, "Stop pestering him. It's already good enough for you to stay here. If you keep bothering him, go back to the outer sect and find your father." Zuolin fell into contemplation, gazing at the loft where Guwen lived, lost in thought. Meanwhile, inside the loft, Guwen sat cross-legged on the bed, eyes closed, recalling the swordsmanship taught by Zuolin. He slowly opened his eyes, which flashed with sword light. He brought up his attribute panel, and in the ultimate skill section appeared, Wood Spirit Sword Technique. Wood Spirit? Could it be a Wood Attribute Swordsmanship? Guwen's divine Wood Pure Yang skill was Wood Attribute. If he cultivated Wood Attribute spells, he could achieve twice the result with half the effort. He quickly learned the Poison Wood Array taught by Jiang Qiong. However, for now, he didn't want to enhance this swordsmanship. He needed to save up to 100,000 years of lifespan. The lifespan detection function activated at 1,000 years, the lifespan barrier function at 10,000 years, so 100,000 years should unlock a new function, which he always looked forward to. Chapter 31 True Dragon Blood Lineage. Since Zuolin taught Guwen swordsmanship, every time they met, Zuolin would stare at him with a resentful gaze, making him very uncomfortable. Fortunately, with Leah around, Zuolin dared not pester him. Days passed by, and every day, there were cultivators flying over Mystic Valley. Each time someone passed by, Guwen would use lifespan detection to check their cultivation level. He even detected the presence of nascent soul cultivators, although he couldn't tell which sect they belonged to. Spring went and summer came, and Guwen turned 28. Since reaching the 9th layer of the Nascent Soul Realm, he had paused his daily routine, fearing he might waste his lifespan. He planned to use a vast amount of lifespan for a forced breakthrough later on. Besides hard work, he also believed in mysticism. Summer's scorching heat arrived. In the mountains, Guwen lay under a tree reading a book, while Wuxin directed Tang Yu, Su Han, and Zhen Qin in weeding. Xiaochuan and Yi Lan were cultivating in the valley. Tang Yu wiped the sweat off his forehead, glancing at the green hero travelogue in Guwen's hands, eyes full of curiosity. What kind of book was that? The biggest secret in the valley was what exactly was recorded in the Green Hero Travelogue. The three disciples also wanted to read it, but unfortunately, the entire set of the Green Hero Travelogue was privately kept by Guan. They couldn't find it in the book collection pavilion. A large white rat suddenly darted out from the grass and ran straight into Guan's arms. It was the white spirit rat. Guan noticed it had something in its mouth and immediately sat up. He saw it spit out an egg the size of a chicken egg. The eggshell was bluish-white with wave-like brown patterns on the surface. He could feel the spiritual power fluctuations inside. Is this a demon beast egg? Guan had encountered demon beast eggs in the outer city before. Prices varied greatly, the highest being astronomical, making his scalp go numb just looking at them. Seizing the moment when Wuxin and the others weren't paying attention, he quickly stashed the demon beast egg into his storage bag. The white spirit rat lifted its head proudly, making Guan laugh as he hugged it and stroked it vigorously. After finishing the weeding, Wuxin and the others began planting. When everything was done, they all returned to Mystic Valley. Tang Yu walked beside Guan, asking him about some difficulties related to the residual wind leg. He didn't like swords, so he was the only one among the three disciples who diligently practiced the residual wind leg. Guan patiently guided him, while tightly holding the white spirit rat in his hands to prevent it from escaping. Upon returning to Mystic Valley, Liya, who had gone to the outer sect in the morning, had already returned. However, Zuelin hadn't come back, which was good news for Guan. Liya approached Guan and said, "The outer sect gathering in the realm has ended. Next is the time for inter-sect exchanges. During this period, there will be disciples patrolling nearby, so I must also return." Upon hearing this, Guan immediately showed reluctance and said, "Then I won't try to keep you. You have a heart for the immortal path. I can't be the one to hold you back. If you ever miss this place, come back anytime. As long as I'm alive, I'll always be here waiting for you." Liya nodded and then pulled Guan into the attic. After closing the door, he took out 3 white jade bottles from his storage bag and placed them on the table, saying, "These 3 bottles of elixirs are respectively the Foundation Establishment Pill, the top-grade Spirit Elixir, and the Soul Cleansing Pill. Keep them safe and don't expose them lightly, especially the Foundation Establishment Pill. You must keep one for yourself. Don't trust your disciples too easily. There are many who would kill their masters for elixirs. People's hearts can change." Guan was stunned and quickly waved his hand, saying, "No, I can't do this. Even if I were to be the Valley Master for 100 years, I wouldn't be able to repay the Spirit Stones." "Repay what? You are my junior brother, and I will come back to bother you in the future. If you don't accept, I won't come back." Liya glared, speaking sternly. Hearing this, Guan could only reluctantly accept. He felt deeply moved in his heart. More than the valuable elixirs, he cared about Liya's sentiments toward him. Liya continued, "Last night, a demon cultivator battle took place 100 miles away, resulting in several deaths and injuries. They were all geniuses from various sections. Their deaths will surely attract investigations. It's best if you don't leave the valley for the next few days." Guan nodded and was about to say something when Liya turned and left. He didn't leave through the front door but leapt out of the window, using sword control to soar, passing the mountain peaks, and disappeared without a trace. Guan turned back to look at the 3 bottles of elixirs on the table, remaining silent for a long time. Finally, he sighed and waved his sleeve, putting the 3 bottles of elixirs into the storage bag. Late at night, Guan came to the 8 scenic caves and walked to the green vine tree. Qiong was still meditating in front of the pill furnace, her aura growing stronger, close to reaching the 9th layer of the core formation realm. Guan felt happy for her. Finally about to leave. "Dear disciple grandson, you haven't visited me in a long time. I thought you almost forgot about me," Qiong's voice sounded. Guan approached to salute and helplessly said, "Martial Master, can you drop the dear?" Your disciple grandson really can't bear it. A demon cultivator was still a demon cultivator, speaking without any propriety. Qiong smiled without responding. Guan took out the demon beast egg from his storage bag, brought it before Qiong and asked, "Martial Master, what kind of demon beast is this?" Upon hearing this, Qiong opened her eyes, casually glanced at the demon beast egg in his hand. Initially indifferent, she suddenly realized something and widened her beautiful eyes. She turned around and snatched the egg from Guwen's hand. She examined it carefully, her gaze seemed to penetrate the eggshell. Seeing this, Guwen grew nervous internally. As expected, this thing was not simple. When Liya mentioned a demon cultivator battle last night, he suspected that the white spirit rat picked up this egg from the battleground. He had lived in this area for so many years and had never seen a demon beast egg, not even a demon beast. "It's truly the holy beast of the ancient sky sect," Qiong muttered to herself. "Holy beast?" Guwen's eyelids twitched. He suddenly wanted to strangle the white spirit rat for causing trouble. Qiong handed the demon beast egg back to Guwen, saying, "This is the sky dragon, a demon beast rarely possessing the true dragon bloodline in the mortal world. It can grow to a 9th-rank demon beast with immense potential and devastating power, revered as the holy beast by the ancient sky sect. Raise it well. The sky dragon serves only one master in its lifetime, gentle to its master but extremely ferocious to others. Once the sky dragon's master perishes, it will go berserk and slaughter all beings." Upon hearing this, Guwen quickly said, "With such power, it is better suited for you, Martial Master. You could use an assistant in the immortal cultivation world." "Are you serious?" Qiong asked with a half-smile. Guwen nodded sincerely. Seeing this, Qiong's face softened, feeling moved. Thinking back since they met, this boy had always been respectful. He never slacked off in her orders. His current words might not be feigned sincerity. Qiong had faked her death for 70 years due to betrayal, which led to her current situation. Over the years, she had harbored hatred for many. When she first met Guwen, she was full of caution, so after recovering her body, she tested him. Qiong forcibly put the sky dragon egg back into Guwen's hands. As their hands touched, he felt a hint of chilliness. "Don't refuse. The green vine tree needs strong protection. Keeping the sky dragon here ensures it won't be exposed," Qiong said seriously. Hearing this, Guwen found it reasonable. This way, it could also prevent anyone from stealing herbs or flowers. Guwen sighed, "All right." Qiong began to tell stories about the sky dragon and its habits, helping him gain more knowledge. The more Guwen listened, the more excited he became, looking forward to the sky dragon. Finally, he left the sky dragon egg under the green vine tree for Qiong to nurture. In the following month, the number of cultivators passing over Mystic Valley gradually decreased. Finally, there were 3 consecutive days without any passing cultivators, prompting Guwen to leave the valley. He had side jobs to do, which were also significant sources of lifespan income that he couldn't miss. Compared to fighting and killing, Guwen preferred earning lifespan steadily and safely. At midday, he first went to Chen Li's cave. Chen Li wasn't in, so he took 30 minutes to tend to the medicinal herbs before leaving. The next stop was Li Zuanya's cave. Li Xuanyu wasn't there either, so Guwen got to work. As expected of a princess, Li Xuanyu had recently planted another batch of 5th-rank medicinal herbs, which made Guwen look forward to it. 5th-rank medicinal herbs took at least 5 years, sometimes more than 10 years, to mature. Fortunately, Guwen could afford to wait. However, just as he was about to finish, Li Xuanyu returned. "Greetings, Senior Li," Guwen quickly approached, cupping his fists in salute. Li Xuanyu, dressed in white, still looked so cold and holy. However, Guwen could sense her unstable aura. Injured again. She really loved to fight. Li Xuanyu said softly, "Since you are Li Ya's junior brother, there's no need for you to call me senior. You may call me senior sister." Hearing this, Guwen could only comply and greeted, "Senior sister." Li Xuanyu glanced around the cave and said, "You've done well. Do you need me to recommend this job for you? If I speak for you, those employers would give me some face and won't treat you unfairly." "Yes, thank you, Senior Sister Li," Guwen answered quickly. He was waiting to save up 10,000 years of lifespan to break through the level above the Nascent Soul Realm, so he wouldn't refuse help. Li Xuanyu nodded and said, "Come back in a month." Guan saluted and then left. After he left, Li Xuanyu went to the bed and began healing her wounds, her face quickly turning pale, completely bloodless, then spitting out a mouthful of black blood on the ground. Outside the cave, Guan felt her aura suddenly become chaotic, probably due to her injuries flaring up, but he didn't stop. He didn't know how to heal wounds, and he didn't want to get too involved with Li Xuanyu. After the outer sect gathering concluded, time in Mystic Valley passed as quickly as it had before. When Guan saw Li Xuanyu again, her injuries had mostly healed. Under her guidance, he met 5 outer disciples, bringing the total to 7 outer disciples' caves he helped manage. Because each cave situation was different, he had to leave the valley every 3 to 4 days. For convenience, he raised his apparent cultivation level to the 6th layer of the energy cultivation realm. Every time he went out, he used the sword control technique, as the spiritual energy of the 5th layer wasn't enough for him to travel back and forth in a day. He avoided using the heavenly resident sword, instead, footing on a common flying sword, an ordinary magic artifact obtained from the outer sect, for the sake of appearances. Summer turned to autumn, with falling leaves blanketing Mystic Valley. After autumn, winter snow covered Mystic Valley in white. One day, Guan was in the attic, writing with a brush. Having read the Green Hero travelogue many times, he wanted to write one himself. It so happened that during his last visit to the outer sect, he discovered that writing books could earn spirit stones, though the review process was stringent. With his background as a reincarnated person from Earth, he decided to astonish the Supreme Sect a little. By earning more spirit stones, he could buy more seeds. While engrossed in his writing, he suddenly sensed something and frowned. The sky outside the window darkened, and rolling thunder clouds surged from the horizon, enveloping the heavens and the forest with a terrifying celestial might. Chapter 32, Duel on a Snowy Night, Nascent Soul versus Nascent Soul. Is this crossing thunder tribulation? Guan looked at the thunderclouds outside the window, his brows gradually relaxed, and a look of curiosity appeared on his face. He was not worried, as he felt the celestial might was far from Mystic Valley. Those sweeping the snow in the garden, Tang Yu, Su Han, and Jin Qin, turned to look, and Yi Lan, who was meditating in the forest, also opened her eyes. Xiao Chuan walked out of his house and looked at the rolling thunderclouds in the sky. Wu Xin was meditating on the mountaintop, the flying snow couldn't cover his figure. He gazed at the horizon, his brows furrowed. Such powerful sword intent, Wu Xin murmured to himself. Although his cultivation was low, he came from the Thousand Autumn Pavilion and had a lot of knowledge. The entire sky was quickly covered by thunderclouds, resembling a boundless ocean, with towering waves. The snowy forest fell into darkness, and the wind between heaven and earth grew stronger, causing the forest to sway and shedding pieces of snow. Guan was disturbed by this celestial might that he had no heart to write. He got up and went downstairs, calling the disciples to look after each garden area. An ancient hour later, several cultivators flew over Mystic Valley, heading in the direction of the celestial might, disappearing into the vast flying snow. This scene made the disciples in the valley even more nervous, unsure of what exactly had happened. It was not until near dusk that a thunderous roar echoed between heaven and earth. Guan stood on the mountaintop and saw in the distance, at the horizon, lightning and thunder intertwining at a certain point on the ground, forming a huge fan shape, extremely spectacular. The radiance of thunder shone on his face, and his black robe fluttered in the wind. Thunder tribulation is so terrifying, no wonder I failed so many times during simulated cultivation. Guan sighed inwardly, finally dispersing the grievances he had suppressed for many years. Although the lifespan consumed by simulated cultivation was more than reality, it was safe. Looking back at his achievements, at 28 years old, he reached Nascent Soul Realm 9th layer. Could the Supreme Sect find a second person like him? Afterward, he turned around and went down the mountain, preparing to continue writing. That night, the roars of thunder continued, making it impossible for everyone in Medicine Valley to cultivate peacefully. By noon the next day, the thunders still continued. The wind between heaven and earth grew stronger, as if a blizzard was about to arrive. Guwen occasionally led the disciples outside to look after the medicinal herbs. After 3 days and 3 nights, the thunder stopped. As the thunderclouds dispersed in the sky, sunlight finally poured down, bringing relief to the disciples of Mystic Valley. However, they had not been happy for half a day before a sharp pressure enveloped heaven and earth, making them feel a heaviness in their chest and their hearts pounding in alarm. In the loft, Guwen put down his brush, his gaze turned to the window, his brows furrowed. He sensed a strong sword intent coming from the horizon, unable to judge how far away it was for the time being. What is he doing? Guwen felt puzzled. Just finished crossing Thunder Tribulation and started comprehending swordsmanship? So desperate? Guwen could only pray that the other party would not affect his Medicine Valley. Although the other's sword intent was strong, he secretly compared it and felt it was inferior to his Taicang Divine Shocking Sword. After all, the Taicang Divine Shocking Sword was something he created by sacrificing 2,000 years of lifespan. How many people in the mortal world could live for 2,000 years? Late at night, 8 scenic caves. Guwen came to visit Qiong. He arrived under the green vine tree and raised his hand to pay respects to Qiong. For the next while, don't come in again to avoid being discovered by Ziwei. Qiong said without opening her eyes. Ziwei? Guwen remembered this person, who was Zuolin's father. When the father and son flew over Mystic Valley, he had even thrown a lifespan detection at them. Ziwei's previous cultivation level was at Core Formation Realm 9th layer. After Tribulation Crossing, he would be a Nascent Soul Realm Cultivator. Guwen thought quickly in his mind, then nervously asked, "Who is Ziwei?" "He is the one who crossed Thunder Tribulation these days. According to your master, he has already earned the title of Maniac Swordsman of Tsanghu Lake." Qiong replied. "Maniac Swordsman of Tsanghu Lake?" Guwen curiously asked, "Martial Master, do you know him?" "Yes, we are old acquaintances. Back then, he overestimated himself and attempted to pursue me as a Taoist friend. I severely humiliated him, making him a laughingstock in the inner sect. Since then, he devoted himself to sword practice and never went out. Until I got injured and faked my death, I never saw him again." Qiong said this, then she opened her eyes and looked at Guwen with a teasing smile. "Dear disciple grandson, don't let emotions get the best of you in the future, it's easy to suffer." Guwen replied, "Thank you for the lesson, Martial Master. I will remember it well." Later, Qiong let Guwen sit down and began instructing him on the poison skill of the Myriad Poison Mystic skill. The Myriad Poison Mystic skill had both energy absorption cultivation techniques and numerous poison skills, requiring a lot of time to study. After staying in 8 scenic caves for 2 ancient hours, Guwen left. 3 days later, at dawn, Guwen was leading the disciples in practicing exercises. They stood on the snowy ground, the cold wind was biting, yet they were still dressed lightly. A breaking sound came, startling everyone to turn and look, only to see the eastern mountain peak struck by a sword chi. 2 large trees on the mountainside were cut down, cascading down the slope and finally blocked by a row of trees, sending dust and snow flying like white mist. Looking upward, the cliff face had a 2 zhang long crack, as if someone had carved it with a giant sword, very spectacular. Su Han frowned and said, "This isn't the first time. If this continues, it will endanger us sooner or later." Other disciples were also worried, their exercise movements slowed down because of it. Wuxin sighed and said, "Sword cultivators comprehend swordsmanship, it can take anywhere from a few days to decades. Who knows how long that person will comprehend?" Guwen rarely did not smile, his face darkened. He was worried about the medicinal herbs in Mystic Valley. Yesterday, he went to the outer sect to report this matter to the Elixir Hall, but they told him he could choose to temporarily move to Outer City, exempt from this year's harvest, but the Elixir Hall would not cover any losses in Mystic Valley. The medicinal herbs in Mystic Valley were precious to Guwen. How could he give them up? If Mystic Valley collapsed, 8 scenic caves might be exposed as well. He must come up with a solution. Guwen's eyes flickered. For the sake of life, he could endure humiliation, but for his medicinal herbs, he would fight. Alright, continue practicing exercises, then each go cultivate. If that person is still here in 2 days, well, move to the outer sect to avoid. Guwen said. Upon hearing this, all the disciples were energized. They were also worried that Mystic Valley would collapse, so they had been wanting to go out to avoid it. The winter days passed quickly. Night gradually fell. On a mountaintop, Ziwei in a gray robe was meditating. In front of him stood 5 swords, each with a different shape, even the blades' width varied. Under the night, with snow flying, the snow falling on him melted quickly, turning into wisps of white vapor, making his aura appear more powerful. On a mountain peak 100 zhang away, Ziwei was meditating on the cliff edge, surrounded by 3 large flags. The flags fluttered, and when sword chi struck, an invisible barrier dissipated it, leaving him unhurt. Although uninjured, the booming sound of sword chi hitting the formation woke Ziwei. He looked up at his father, frowning, envy showed in his eyes. People say dragons have dragon offspring, phoenixes have phoenix offspring. Why didn't he inherit his father's sword Dao comprehension? Feeling his father's powerful sword intent, Ziwei was fascinated. Let this icy world witness whose sword intent is stronger. Ziwei's cold voice echoed between heaven and earth. As his words fell, a sword intent soared from his body, causing the mountain peak he stood on to tremble, the snow collapsing down, shaking the mountain where Ziwei was. 10 li away. Too much talk. Guwen whispered to himself, his voice so low only he could hear. As he finished speaking, he suddenly threw the leaf in his hand. What flew out didn't seem to be a leaf, but a divine sword piercing through time and space. Guwen maintained the gesture of waving his hand. The cold wind laced with flying snow made his white robe flutter violently. His gaze under the mask was so calm. How can your 100 years of Dao level withstand my 2,000 years of lifespan investment? Guwen thought to himself, knowing he had already shown mercy, aiming at Ziwei's shoulder instead of his head. He turned and left, disappearing into the vast snow, as if he had never been there. In the morning, Guwen, as usual, led the disciples in exercises. Zhenqin twisted her waist while looking at the sky, saying, "The snow seems to be lighter today." Wuxin looked into the distance, saying, "It's not just the snow, that powerful sword intent has also vanished." Hearing this, the other disciples immediately became excited. Could that person already be gone? It's possible. It said that sword cultivators seeking sword enlightenment need to find places with beautiful scenery to comprehend nature. Our area isn't considered a blessed land. Don't be careless. What if he's just napping? Did you forget the thunder tribulation a few days ago? A great cultivator of that level needs to nap? Listening to their argument, Guwen couldn't help but laugh. He cleared his throat and said, "Do the exercises seriously. Whether that senior has left or not, we will know soon." He hoped no one else would come to the vicinity for Tribulation Crossing or Sword Enlightenment in the future. If he accidentally went overboard, the scene would be ugly. In the following 2 days, with no sword intent enveloping the world, the disciples of Mystic Valley confirmed that the other party had indeed left, and so, Mystic Valley returned to its usual pace of life. Occasionally, cultivators would fly over Mystic Valley, something the disciples had become accustomed to. Only Guwen knew that these people were probably investigating the injury of Ziwei, because he detected that one of the cultivators had a Nascent Soul Realm level 6 cultivation. At night, several days later, Guwen visited Qiong at the 8 scenic caves. After greeting her, Guwen said, "It seems that Senior Ziwei has already left." Qiong, who was not practicing but performing alchemy, stared at the flames under the pill furnace and said, "Not left, he's either dead or injured." Why do you say that? Guan asked in feigned shock. He even added, he's a great cultivator of the Nascent Soul Realm. Qiong rolled her eyes at him and replied, so what? There are realms above the Nascent Soul Realm. There were two strong sword intents battling a few days ago, one far exceeding Ziwei's, and the fight ended instantly, showing the other's strength far surpassed Ziwei's. Upon hearing this, Guan felt secretly delighted. On the surface, however, he frowned and hesitated. Will Mystic Valley be in danger? Don't worry, it's been days already. But just before it shut completely, she added, Senior brother, no matter where I go, I won't give my heart to any other man. You will be the only one in my heart. With that, she quickly shut the door and left as if fleeing. Xiaochuan nodded solemnly, scratching his head. Senior brother, can we recruit 2 more servant disciples to help me? Guan replied, have others help you first, recruit disciples in half a year. My storage bag is a bit tight right now. Xiaochuan beamed, quickly expressing his gratitude. Guan indeed had many spirit stones, but he feared drawing too much attention, so he chose to restrain himself for half a year. After dealing with Xiaochuan, Guan returned to the pavilion. Everyone in the valley came to observe the First Order sheep demon. For those fixated on plants daily, the appearance of sheep demons was novel. Back in the pavilion, Guan prepared to write the next volume of Investiture of the Gods, as Lu Chang from the book collection hall had urged him several times. Listening to the laughter of the disciples outside, Guan's lips involuntarily curled up. In a courtyard, Ziwei sat under a tree, his head full of white hair, holding a leaf in his right hand, his brow furrowed. Compared to the him who had successfully crossed the tribulation years ago, he looked much older, losing his sharpness, no longer seeming like a great cultivator of the Nascent Soul Realm. Ziwei walked into the courtyard, turned his head, and saw his father under the tree. He immediately went forward, snatching the leaf from Ziwei's hand. Father, how long will you remain in decline? Ziwei questioned angrily, throwing the leaf on the ground and stomping on it. Ziwei looked at him with eyes calm as water. I am not in decline. You spend all day looking at leaves. How long has it been? How long since you absorbed energy, or tempered your sword intent? Ziwei's tone was full of frustration. Thinking of the indignities he had suffered over the years, a surge of anger welled up, almost uncontrollable. Ziwei bent to pick up the leaf. Then before, when you held your sword deep in thought, not absorbing energy, what was it for? With your sword, were you more diligent than I with my leaf? Ziwei was at a loss, his face flushing. A sword is a sword, a leaf is a leaf. I couldn't grasp sword Dao and thus sat in contemplation. But you, are you pursuing leaf Dao? But the flying leaf sword Immortal defeated me with just a leaf. Do you think his leaf wasn't a sword? That's different. True sword Dao is never confined to a specific sword. Ziwei said softly, refocusing on the leaf in his hand, his gaze becoming distant. Ziwei cursed inwardly, reaching into his storage bag to pull out a book. Father, look at this book, called Investiture of the Gods. It has spread through the immortal cultivation world in the past 2 years. Many sects are reading it. Some say it records an ancient era's war of cultivation. Ziwei remained indifferent. Ziwei placed the Investiture of the Gods at his feet and then turned to leave.